Hello and welcome back to the Shine Gaming and Esports Center, where we are back with week 2 of PEC play. Started last night with Rocket League, won 3-0 versus the Buckeyes. But tonight we've got Overwatch. Buckeyes are 5-1, playing the 1-5 Orange. We'll have to see, but we are back finally for more PEC action.
I certainly can't wait. Back on the desk here for Overwatch. And last week against Kansas was a tough one for the Orange, but looking to bounce back, against the Ohio State. Do you think they have what it takes?
This is harder than last week.
Okay.
I'm going to start by saying, as Ohio State is presumably 5-1, I've had a tough time finding scores for last week, but they were 4-1 going through the break. We are kind of looking at it in the sense of this is going to be the hardest team they play. Ohio State might be the one making the noise and rumbling all the way to the end in Vegas. So once you get down to the Sin City, I think you'll be looking at this game pretty tightly if you're the Orange. And the Orange have what it takes. They took Kansas to 5 games. Kansas has taken games off of Ohio State. I'm not saying it's impossible, but this is more of an uphill battle than last week, and you need to correct what you did wrong this week. But I think these players have it in them.
I think so. In talking to Sneaky all week, the coach, he has worked with this team tremendously in trying out some different positions to see, hey, is it something tactically we need to switch up, but also just hammering down the basics and going again and again into some maps that they expect to see tonight against a very, very talented Ohio State team.
Yeah, this Ohio State team has rolled lower-tier opponents, such as Syracuse, and I'm not saying they are a lower-tier opponent than Ohio State, but they rolled them. And that team was completely different. And I think that's a really important part about this Overwatch team is they have progressed forward in a major way. And PEC play to them has been getting better, and they've been taking steps forward. This team has been massively improving. But as we head down to the Greek land of Ilios, I believe, we're going to see much of what we saw last week, and that is exactly true, starting with basically the same comp on both sides. Just the different. No. Is it different? Yes. No, it just was in different spots. All right, off to a great start. Yes, it is the same comp today.
Exactly, and I think the focus goes to Lunar on Hazard. Hazard obviously being that new hero we've seen a lot in this comp meta. That ultimate literally is stopping your opponent and inflicting damage, and the rest of your team can dive in and take control there. So interesting to see what Lunar can get done today with him. Yeah,
flat out right, and Lucio is going to be a big piece of that. You see, I mean, it's Ilios. This is the Lucio map, for lack of a better term. The giant pit you're seeing right in the middle is exactly what you're going to see those Lucios try and maneuver around, maybe get behind the other team in an unfortunate spot. What we're seeing with Syracuse starting up on the top section here, going for a bit of a high ground with Hazard, who's now moving back to the left side towards the Ohio State spawn. It's going to be interesting. This is a different map to how you approach things normally, and the Orange have plenty of opportunities to do so, and they just need to play a little better as a team. They need to support their healers to be alive.
Yeah, Azer on the retreat immediately, getting some damage inflicted on him, but we'll see what the rest of the team can do. Is Saint up top playing that healer position, just trying to support those tanks as they head in on this attack point.
Lunar's done a really good tear so far. Back over to Lucio, healing his teammate on the other end. Almost dead on the Genji, but they will have to back off slightly. That is basically a fight win for the Buckeyes, as Syracuse has to back off, but still is able to contest. Does he go to the other side? Hold on. Blue and yellow, the colors just changed on my end.
Yeah, so this is interesting because this is something I do a lot as a player, and it is kind of the colorblind setting on the actual overlay. Enabling yourself to see the opponent team in a different color, a little bit of a brighter color. So I believe that's what we're seeing on our end.
Yes, absolutely. As Lucio, again, you're seeing is been the lifeline of this team and the bloodline almost in the sense of you're competing in a very hard way against these other supports, and staying alive is a big piece of Lucio and big piece of supports, obviously, and it allows that DPS to be a bit more distant and a bit more lenient, which we saw last week was a really big struggle for them. They were relying on those supports in that 3-2 loss to Kansas, and they were not near those supports. So it's a bridge without a destination there. You're running half the Brooklyn Bridge, but the other half of Brooklyn Bridge is all the way in Manhattan on the other side. So it's just, you can't play it that way in Monkey. And Voivy, that is a very good start for Ohio State in the sense of those guys are now off the map.
Yeah, you're going to get a team kill come in early here and look to build an advantage if you are Ohio State going into this point. Now, this obviously anybody watching Overwatch knows these numbers don't mean too much in the very beginning, as you see a lot of 99-99 battles as it comes down to it, but certainly better to be ahead than behind.
Yeah, Azer here with the ult already, and maybe it will use it here, but it looks like Ohio State's going to back off the point and try and regroup. Getting this Lucio down would be big for Azer. Back in the back line, Lunar takes him out. Lau gets speed glasses. Lost DPS. Azer gets one more. Both supports down for the Buckeyes side. Azer, 2 there. And really good healing there for that other end, but Ohio State still in this fight. They try and keep it on site. Both healers are down for both sides. This is going to come down to really whoever can keep the other one off point. We've got just 2 hazards dueling it out in front of the pick.
Yeah, multicolor kill feed right there, going back and forth for both sides as we're able to bash in for Azer.
Yeah, that's a really good collection there for the Orange to keep it matched up. You have no healers, just a 2-on-2 flat out. Who's better? And that's worked out well for the Orange on that side, so I'm just curious to see how they play this now. The defensive end is a bit different on Helios. You see some teams push up a very large amount, and a lot of them will go up to this top end here, in which you're seeing with Saint healing the Sojourn up here. It's very dependent on how you want to play this, and Syracuse is running a very mobile comp, but Ohio State's running the same comp. Syracuse has been very good on dive this year, and you're seeing them excel here in a dive off.
You got to fight fire with fire in some cases, and especially in this point right now. Looks like Lau and co that's their plan.
Yeah, Monkey there gets one in the form of the other Genji, as both supports down for the Orange. Both supports the only ones left for the Orange as Sojourn. The last one on there has that ult. Gets one, almost gets X, but it's going to have to be jumped off here. Ohio State's going to win that team fight fairly easily. It's a 3-on-5 at that point. Syracuse has to do a better job.
Yeah, Syracuse got one ult in the back pocket for Lunar. I don't know how you want to use that early, if at all, but if they're going to break back into this point, that might be something we see come out.
Yeah, Syracuse just has to do a better job overall of defending the supports, and what Ohio State did a really good job there is isolating. They got the Genji and the Hazard away, and then Azer gets Monkey. It's a good DPS down. Now pushing, here comes both Kiriko ults defending each other. Speed Glasses gets one more on the other side, and Spinson back in front with Hex. Really trying there. That's a very good kill on the Hazard. Syracuse with 99% is going to get the point here. Has to keep everybody else off. Has just a few moments of overtime. As Syracuse going to take, oh no, never mind. We got 2 contesting already. Overtime refreshes on the other side. Orange now in the red. Lunar gets Monkey on point. Overtime still clocking down, but here comes the Lucio ult. And the other end, Bobby gets a touch, runs away. Lunar gets Monkey back in front. They're still in that choke point, just trying to get a little bit more contesting, but the Orange will secure objective 1 on map 1 at Helios.
Yeah, in that final fight there, you see 4 Ohio State players go down. Monkey stays up on the map, and you thought maybe he's going to retreat, just regroup with his team going into the next round, but able to get in that contest and make it a little interesting towards the end, but the Orange holds strong.
Yeah, Speed Glasses, they're really good, really good DPS support, and just a bit of a interesting situation where you're going, I don't really know how Speed Glasses did that, but Speed Glasses was very much up top and just didn't get noticed at all. They were kind of in the fight every single time, was doing a massive amount of damage. If the Buckeyes want to continue to do the right thing here, they have to start targeting Speed Glasses and have to start moving towards that DPS line. They did a terrible job getting rid of the Syracuse's supports, and that's exactly what you like to see.
Such a multi-layered map. You got so many different levels. Healers can play up top there. That's something you want to shut down early and often if you're Ohio State, especially with these Syracuse one. Like to use the double jump and like to use that wall run as well. Yeah,
and it's entirely dependent for Ohio State on whether they isolate the Hazard, and that's kind of how they've won those team fights. And you're seeing there, once Syracuse plays together around them, as we get into this initial team fight, that's exactly what's going well. They're picking the supports on the other end. They want to get back in that other end. It's a dive. It's a dive comp. It's perfect for the Orange. It's a perfect matchup for the Orange, I believe. I believe they can beat anybody in this league on dive, and I think that's what they're showing right here.
Big statement right there early on from Carson with the dive statement. Overall, it hasn't looked too good for the Orange record-wise, but again, new year, new them maybe.
Yeah, and the meta changes, and when you're playing a dive comp as well, I think it's easier when you know to dive comp the best. Ohio State, I believe, is probably one of the best teams in this PEC conference at Overwatch, if not the best. We'll find out in April, of course. But on the other end, Speed Glasses in a room go down as Lunar, just the last one remaining for the Orange. Or Lunar goes down to the last tank remaining for the Orange, and the Monkey gets speed glasses once more there. And yeah, that's that targeting of the Sojourn that they've been really looking for, as she outputs massive damage, and the Orange have to put him away.
Yeah, Azer able to get a kill there, but both healers for the side of Syracuse very, very low on health, Saint especially, but able to secure that rush in the back pocket, and both of them are able to stay up. So a little bit scary right there. Lunar and Co looking to take over here.
Lunar and Saint get each one as both supports go down for the Ohio State side, and that team fight is relatively over. Ohio State yet to touch the point fully there. And that is really what the Orange want as they extend upwards here. You're going to see them try and hold this choke point at the Greek temple of sorts.
This is really promising for Syracuse, starting off really, really hot. Something we didn't see too much of last week with a couple technical pauses that ended up to a map 1 forfeit. But Syracuse looking to make a big statement on map 1 here, over 70% captured on their initial hit.
Yeah, and this would be massive. The last time they played Ohio State, they lost 3-0 and just generally got rolled over. This is not the same Orange team that they saw 4 weeks ago, or 4 months ago rather, as Hazard goes down, the Orange get to 80% and end another team fight there as Lucio has to go retreat back to the point to make sure he doesn't die and get a team wipe there. No stagger there for the Buckeyes, but the Orange are now switching. Or rather, no, the Buckeyes are now switching into the hamster ball.
Oh, that is one I am very familiar with in casting some Syracuse versus Boise State games. We see that come out a lot, and something Syracuse may or may not have worked on this week.
No Dragon Blade kills for the other side. Lunar gets 2 as that hamster is just trying to survive in the point, but the Dragon Blade here from Azer gets 1 more. Azer with a 3-kill streak, 10-player kill streak overall, as Speed Glasses gets the last one, and the Hammond, not enough for the Orange, or rather, not enough for the Buckeyes, and the Orange move to Game 1 win. Goodness me.
An absolute dominant fashion right there, and I think it all started with the Kitsune rush out of Saint, able to, again, retreat Ohio State while they were working their way back at about that 82-84% mark, and really, really well from Saint and Co., but ultimately the DPS able to clean up the Buckeyes.
You don't see a Lucio play too often, but goes into the ult there, and 2 boops. We'll give him that as long as a massive amount of healing. And that's a little bit of an understatement.
Syracuse, who's standing up on stage, drinking some water. They seem to be out of breath. The comms were flowing, making sure they were able to take a dominant map 1. And my goodness, hello there, saying hi to the viewers.
Nice to see you, Jackson. That's the flex support. As you get a great look at him. Oh, they're all doing it. This is a good sign of high spirits when they're all laughing, sitting right there. And that's exactly what you want from the Orange. Mental has been a little bit of a problem. Oh. I think especially when you go down that big and you're down 1-5. In the end, it doesn't matter. If you make it to Vegas, if you go to Vegas, you get it. That's doesn't matter once you're in the playoffs. And it's just a matter of getting there. And it's a matter of having those situations and being able to make those changes. And the Orange have. They've improved in a massive way. And I think even taking 1 game off Ohio State after what happened last time versus them in the week 2 of the fall season is a huge, huge step forward for this team. But it's not over. They need to finish this Buckeye team off.
Yeah, they're getting up, they're stretching, they're walking around. Something we talked about as a program in our captain's meeting this last week is just remove yourself from the setup. Whether things go well or things don't go well, you still got a long series to play. So being able to physically remove yourself and kind of reset is going to be really big as they talk to their coach going into this map 2. A map they could really, really use going up 2-0 against a very talented team.
Yeah, I like to call this place the migraine machine because my head can't handle it. I get a migraine every single time I'm in here, and that's not to the testament of this room. It's just my my brain really likes getting migraines already, so I'm prone to it. But it's lovely being here in the space, and I think, but I also think being up there is a stressful situation. Mm-hmm. You are the prime. You are what everybody in the room is watching. And I think taking a minute, stepping up, and taking yourself away from that is a beautiful thing to do for yourself and for your mental. And you can see this wonderful space right now. It's even at this late at night, still has plenty of people in it.
In the very front row is kind of this mini student section, and it's really refreshing to see students come out and support our esports teams here. But at the same time, for these students, it can be a little scary. Still new to our own space here, and having that fan interaction when you make a big play, hearing those cheers, maybe through some white noise through your head, something that you gotta take some time to get used. In the Orange right now.
No, and they started off strong with a Game 1 forfeit win against Kansas last week, but they couldn't hang on to it. They went 3-1 overall in that series, or 1-3 rather, against a team that I believe that they think they knew they were better than, and it's a tough way to go and move about it. But the Orange have responded well, and this is the first step in the right direction. You've won Game 1, but This is not it. And that's, I think, what the important part is here is you have to keep pushing. You have to keep pressing. You cannot take your foot off the gas. You cannot let any lifeblood go to this Buckeye team here. And I'm sure that's what Ryan is telling their players. Sneaky 91, if you're more familiar with that, the other caster who sits on the left of me.
Exactly, yeah. The other ginger, if you will. You're just
going to say it.
Casting with all the gingers in the program. But looking back, last week is one that you had to have. And that was the term that Sneaky used right there. They had to have that one to really start the semester off right. And just skill-wise, they thought they were better than them, didn't come out on top. Able to respond with a huge upset today gets you to the same result you may have anticipated you were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one you have to have, but maybe that loss puts you in the right direction. It forces your players to go in there and go, hey, what did I do wrong? This is a team we should have beaten. We didn't beat them. How do you approach that? How do you look at that now? And is it a mindset change for the Orange, who look at this entirely differently than they did maybe just 7 days ago? And as you enter further and further deeper into PEC play, we see, I don't even know what that is, to be honest.
Looks like a little dragon.
Well, last week I think he has the fire starter from the Scarlet and Violet, Whale Coco, I believe, something along the lines of that.
Sure.
I'm a Pokemon fan. That feels really disappointing to not know, but that is Jackson, who was the one staring earlier. A lot of great players on this roster, who really have been the silliest so far, I think, on camera.
It's been promising to see how loose the guys look right now and how energetic, but you really hope that's not because of a lack of concentration, and that's just because the vibes are high right now. I know, obviously, Ryan looks to be writing some notes and might deliver that pregame speech that he often does going into to the next map, but Game 2 last week against Kansas was frankly horrendous. They couldn't get anything going. And so you're going to need to see a very, very different version of Syracuse going into this one. And this is something, even after map 1, they weren't joking around like this and things like that. So this is potentially promising.
Yeah, and a part of mental is being focused. A part of it is having a positive attitude towards things. You cannot go and be focused. A lot of people, I would say, there are people that can do this, that can go into the next game extremely angry about the last one. I mean, there's people in there that I know, who I know personally, who will go in there so frustrated, so angry that they can motivate themselves the opposite way. But I think for a lot of these players, that's not who they are. You're not Kobe Bryant, and you don't have that mentality at certain points. And I think for a lot of them, it's about staying positive, and it's about keeping yourself in the right mindset. This game is 50%, is like almost 95%, I'd actually say, mental. It's so much in your head. You're making decisions, and that's what the Orange lost on. They weren't worse than Kansas in terms of technical game skill. They were worse in what they did. They were calling the ults at the wrong time. They were playing it in a different way. And Ryan has talked to these guys, and they are going to play smarter. They're smarter than what they played last week, and I think they want to show that today.
And so what is that message? As we were joking around and things of that nature, it looks like Ryan might be getting ready to deliver that message. If you could get up on the stage right now and kind of be a fly on the wall,
oh boy,
do you think there are any points he's really going to point out to either counter Ohio State and anything we saw in map 1, or do you think it's just vibes high and play our game?
Well, you have to look at what Ohio State's going to do next year. You have a different game mode. So now you're going to approach it. They might not be playing dive, and we might not be able to play dive, which is, I think, what a lot of them believe they excel at for certain players and overall as a team. You have to go into that and go, what am I doing today? What is going to be, who am I going to be today? Who am I going to go? And once we get off of dive, once they get off of dive, I can't do it. Are we going to adjust? Are we going to change? You're smiling, you're laughing up there, and that's completely fine, as long as you can go into this next game and take that step forward. Because Ohio State is going to change their strategy. They're a good enough team where that happens. They know what's coming. They've put up fights against the hardest teams there are. Boise State was probably the best team out there for Overwatch. I think that's pretty fairly common knowledge.
Yeah.
But Ohio State played them pretty close. It was a 3-0 game, but each game they played them pretty close. But Boise State is one of those teams like the Kansas City Chiefs that when it gets down to it, they can finish it.
So you're telling me Wrecking Ball and Patrick Mahomes are the same person? Because that's what I got from that.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes is a wrecking ball to...
Wow. Look at this guy, guys.
The family's in upstate New York, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a lot of Bills fans around me that were pretty upset. But for me, Patriots fan, Drake May, Pro Ball, it's all good.
Shout out, Mom. So I'm not too upset. She is a Chiefs fan. So vibes are high in my facility. I'm a Bears fan, so not that high. But Ben Johnson. Anyway, back to Overwatch. Ryan Blakenhorn, the Ben Johnson of Overwatch, some say.
Ooh.
But yeah, Ryan has done a great job coaching this team. I think is also a really big part there. Is he's done a great job managing the mental and approaching it how a student would, because Ryan is a student, and that's one of the coolest parts about having him as a coach is he plays games fairly frequently, more than I think even some of his team do. He doesn't play Overwatch as much as a team, to be honest with you. Actually, I don't know. I haven't seen Ryan behind closed doors. He probably plays more than
He's
that.
on his Marvel Rivals, right?
I think a lot of Overwatch players are.
I played it for the first time today.
You did.
Very proud. My first ever keyboard mouse experience. Played some Punisher. Did not go well. Yeah.
Keyboard mouse for the first time is a little scary coming from a COD player. Yeah. No, I was always a keyboard mouse guy. But, yeah, I mean, Ryan is one of those guys who I think can motivate. He has a better option. He can see more like a player, I think, than other coaches can in any space. He can motivate them the right way, and as long as he has their respect, I think it's the same thing as having a normal coach, and even further than that. You have a guy who's you. You have a guy who's your friend rather than your coach, who you look up as some like authoritative figure who you have to listen to. Because I think they do believe they have to listen to Ryan, but I think it's more of a situation where they know he's probably right.
It can be tough at times when somebody who kind of looks like you around that same age gives you some criticism, but at the same time, you mentioned that respect factor, and I firsthand have seen how one-on-one focused he is with all of his players and really working on, okay, today we're going to talk with our supports, and we're just going to have a support practice and check in on them in all different regards. How are their grades? How's their schedule going? And then it gets into the in-game stuff. So even though it might have that reverse effect of this guy's the same age as me, why is he telling me how to play? He knows the game and he treats his players with the utmost respect.
I mean, it's like singing. He goes out there and he goes and isolates every individual part of his song or his team and looks at it and goes, what is this person doing? How is this affecting the team? He looks at it, what could we have done there? If he had ulted, then what would have happened? He's a very analytical guy in the sense of he wants to know what could have happened at every given moment, and he's Doctor Strange, really. He's all in every multiverse and trying to figure it out. He's put the effort in for these guys a lot of the time, and I think that's really commendable.
Yeah, 100% on top of casting all the other games as well, and that's phenomenal. And he's even working with me one-on-one and teaching me Overwatch for when I fill in. So he really does it all, and he's going to get his team ready into Map 2 very, very soon here.
Yeah, and they'll take some time there as we take some time away. We'll be right back, so don't go anywhere. Week 2 of the PEC. And welcome back. We are back from our brief intermission as we discussed maps and what we were going to play next. The answer is Overwatch. Either way, we mentioned it earlier. This is going to be a very important game, too, for the Orange. And this is going to be the benchmark of how you approach the rest of the week, how you practice the rest of the week. It happens today, and this Orange team really needs a win like this to jumpstart the second semester. Getting all the way back to a positive record is pretty unlikely at this point, sitting at 1-5. I mean, you have 3 more games after this, so actually it's possible. You have to win out, though, and that's a tough thing to do, obviously. Actually, I don't. No, you have to win out. I have to make sure there wasn't more games. But this team is looking to get back to 500. That's the objective when you're playing the regular season. It's to get the highest record possible, and that's the highest record they can get at this point. But this Orange team has to just put it forward. They just have to let it all go. Just be, it's all right. Well, we're all right. We played a good game last week. You have to go into game 2 and be calm and be relaxed and know that you're playing something different and that now you're on payload. And that is a completely different. Are we on payload? We are on payload. We're on King's Row.
There we go.
It's entirely different how they're going to play. And if you're on offense first, it's going to be dive. You have to know you're going to play dive. It's going to be okay. But if you're on defense first, how are you going to approach that? Can you switch it up? Do you switch it up? Do you react to what Ohio State's playing? Have you scouted well enough to see what Ohio State's going to play?
Yep.
It all comes down to that, and I think the Orange just need to understand that they can do this. Like, I think the biggest thing is I think sometimes teams get in their own head when you play a team like this that you can't beat them. Any given week is one of the things I've always told my teammates when I was playing sports is any given week. And I think the Orange have to have that mentality. They could easily go into this. Not easily. They could go into this and dominate Ohio State if they really wanted to. If they play that like they did the first time, Ohio State had no answer for them on that first map in Elias.
It starts with one map. If you want to win out, it starts with one map, and that's what they did. Even in the round differential, if it really gets down to tiebreakers going into in the playoffs, the map differential or round differential, for that one map was stupendous. You can't get better than that. And as we head into this second game right here, or one thing I noticed in the chat is Syracuse banned Juno, same as they did map 2 last week, and Widowmaker being banned on the side of Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, Widowmaker is a King's Row staple. I think the only map she really sees significant play anymore, to be honest with you. But the Orange are going to have to defend this properly. You're seeing a Buckeye already on site. That's going to be the Hazard, who's going now to that right side. They have let this that choke point go, I think, intentionally there. It's a tough one to play by, and you don't want to play it where if you lose it, you're going to lose the game. They're playing right behind it. They don't want to have one guy go behind them and lose in its entirety. The Orange are playing a very, very good game in the front sense of it, but they have to do exactly that for the next 2 rounds, and they're looking good. This is a good start. They're playing this very smart. They're not playing the choke point by itself, and you're seeing right now they're going to move to the right side here for the Buckeyes as King Donut leads his Buckeye squad over and taking space as down goes Aram. That's a very big Elin there as down goes Hazard. No tank. Space will be tough to come by for the Buckeyes as Lunar gets one more in Vowie.
So now you're down to 2 if you're Ohio State, and that's the Genji and the Kiriko. And those 2 just going to back up, decide to play their life and wait for the rest of their team.
Yeah, time's still very high. Plenty of team fights to go. No reason to push it and stagger, as I wish I could tell my teammates sometimes when I played this game. But it's a lot about communication, and Ohio State obviously communicates very well. You wouldn't be 5-1 if you didn't communicate very well, and they've shown that very much so. Lunar gets Aram again. That's tough for the other team's Sojourn. It's the same comp that they saw earlier. The Orange have the ones that have actually changed it up. Nano there for speed glasses. Up in the top of the thing, Lau gets Azer. This could go wrong way. Lunar gets Lau, though. It's one support left for both sides. The speed glasses goes down, and the Orange really have to get rid of this Lucio as soon as possible if they want to win this site. But they're kind of completely off-site, so it's a bit of an interesting situation here for both sides.
Yeah, Kings Row, a map that Syracuse has scrimmed a lot this week. Is King Donut able to pick up one on Saint right there? So far, so good. Maybe their breakoff went exactly how they planned as the big rush right there. But so far, Ohio State taking over here.
Yeah, Hazard goes down immediately. That's a good reflect by Azer to get rid of the other Genji, but goes down in the process. Bit of a stagger there, but they're going to let that point go. Back up. Recalibrate. You have 4 minutes now to stop the payload from getting all the way to the end. That's the weird part about Kings Row. There is no checkpoint. It is just, I believe they changed it now because it is just one continuous run with extra time. So 4 minutes to stop this. And I believe, no, it's 4 minutes. No, it's 4 minutes to the checkpoint at the end. This is the longest checkpoint in the game.
Yeah,
I apologize.
no,
That's what I was looking for.
certainly over halfway through the entire route to get to that checkpoint, to get some of that extra time. So for Ohio State, you got to get going. You got to find this team kill right here and continue on your way. You're going to rain some spikes down, see what you can find right there. King Donut able to find M3 to get one of their supports off of the map. Saint going to fall as well, so you can't do much here. If you're Syracuse, Azer and Lunar have something else to say, though.
Here comes Dragon Blade from King Donut. Lunar, or rather from Azer, it's nobody, unfortunately, does a massive amount of damage so that it allows Lunar to open up that defense on the other side of the Buckeyes in there, that defensive back line, rather. They just charge right in. Hazard gets everybody. That was a fairly quick and simple situation, to be honest with you. Now the ult advantage, however, is in the other side. You're now looking at the Buckeyes going to have 3 to the Oranges, 1 or 2, depending on how much damage Hazard's able to do. It's just Sojourn versus essentially both supports and Sojourn.
Yeah, and that was a great Ohio State break-off, getting 2 supports down immediately, but able to get all the damage right there, as it looks like we got an ult pop on the side of Ohio State.
Both sides there, all 3 Ohio State ults go off, as now their Genji has one too. Would be surprised to see him use it here. Azer and Lunar both go down for the Orange. This is a disaster in this end. They're going to get a massive chunk here for the Buckeyes. They're now just kind of left sitting on that payload point, or sitting in that back check point of where the payload's trying to head. Ohio State going to get pushed right into that checkpoint. This is a very good start for that Buckeye team. This is what they wanted out of that push.
Yeah, Syracuse had them stopped at about a corner right there, but haven't stopped them since, as Ohio State going crazy. But right now, here comes the contest. A big battle right here, trying to get right up to that checkpoint with about 2 minutes left.
2 for Monkey. Lunar gets Aram in the chaos, though, as Lucio gets rid of Monkey. That ult goes down. King Donut gets the support there, as both supports go down. We've just got a Kiriko and a Kiriko for both sides. On the other end is just trading, honestly, each character. King Donut gets Azer in the back end. Tank's left alone with no support as it's stuck behind the wall, as Lau gets Lunar. And the Buckeyes should be able to get this point.
Yeah, M3 might have something to say about this, but with the Lucio, you're not going to be able to do too much right there. Checkpoint looks to be secured.
Yeah, that's tough for the Orange. Saw the support back off, and the Hazard of our Hazard did not, and Lunar has to maybe move with that, but I mean, Hazard's a tough time to move when you move forward, and maybe the Kiriko's like, hey, I can't live that, and backs off, expecting to live that, and it's a stagger, unfortunately. They lost that fight despite being able to trade very well. It's a good sign for the Orange. You just got to play that just a little bit better as they move down to the other side. Now we have Genji ult, or rather, here comes Hazard ult for the other side. King Donut gets one more. They've got 2 trapped in that back end. Doesn't do much, but gives them space. Sojourn nearly goes off the edge, but is close to down as Genji picks her off in the air. Azer on the ult, gets one more. Getting back in the back end, one more support down. Has both. Hazard cornered by 2 and gets sandwiched in the other end as Genji goes down, and Azer, what a play.
Absolute Yahtzee from him right there. Somebody I really liked last week, but able to come through and clean up right there. Now, if you're the Orange, you don't have a lot of space to work with. But you got to wait for Ohio State to come in and try to defend this back line. They were able to do it a little bit last week, and it just came down to that final fight. We got time for about 2 right here. Let's see what happens.
I'd like to see the Hazard ult from the Oranges. That's exactly what's going to happen. Right there, right off rip, that's immediately going to be a team fight win for the Orange. Played that extremely well. It's just exactly what you want to do is, oh no, I thought the Hazard went down. The Hazard did not go down. Not a team fight win. I apologize. The ult goes. King Donut's low. Monkey goes down 4. The other end is Genji is just without it. It is going to be a team fight win without the tank, as that is a massive part of Overwatch 2 compared to Overwatch 1. If you are not familiar with Overwatch 2, for whatever reason, if you've been watching along, we've had about, I think, 2 years of this game now, you're missing a tank, and that is a serious disadvantage. If you've been playing Rivals recently, you know that you can still win a team fight without one tank. Without no tanks, it's very, very difficult in this game, especially with how much space Hazard can take and how much damage Hazard can do.
And the space that you mentioned, Syracuse just taking it, ripping around this corner, engaging, playing on the offensive while on defense. Let's see how it turns out in this time.
Sojourn ult, as Lucio pops his just to get rid of it on the other end. Azer able to goes down rather to the Sojourn. Vovi gets one more. This is bad. No DPS for the Oranges. Down goes Hazard. Just the supports. Trying to, I guess, keep themselves alive with 50 seconds remaining. There's going to have to be a contest here. 4 Buckeyes on the point. 1 coming back 2 point, rather sitting up top on that right side. Orange going to try to contest here. Still stuck in their spawn, but not much they can do as the defending football national champions do it in Overwatch too.
Yeah, Ohio State knows a little bit about speed, and Syracuse not able to speed their way to do a last-second stand right there. Overall, pretty good fights in that kind of L-shaped corner right there to try to keep them off of that payload, but eventually unsuccessful for the Orange. But we'll see how they can respond if they can extend this match.
He's bald. Anyway. You have to play this now, and to quote my youth football coach from, I guess, 8th grade, you want to go 1-0 every week. And you hear that in every Hard Knocks documentary. You hear that in everything. 1-0 every week. And for Overwatch, it's the same thing. 1-0 every game. You want to win every game. You don't want to think about the next point while you're playing this. You have to take it as it is. And the Orange just need to understand, think in your head, we have to go to the end here. This is a normal push. We're going to do it the right way. I think you got to change some stuff up here, and you're going to see that from the side of the Orange again, but really the exact same setup from the Buckeyes.
To counter the 1-0 every day on the side of Ohio State right now, I can guarantee somebody in those headsets said it's 0-0. They are playing even. As my high school coach would say, anytime we scored a goal, it's 0-0. You got to play like it's 0-0. So Ohio State on the defense right here, but going to have to play like they're going for broke.
And it stops being 0-0 once you're up 45-16, but that's not the situation we have here. And the Orange they're not out of this game, and you have to, the mental has to stay safe. You just lost a tough push to Ohio State, but you can approach this now as they take a massive amount of space. You can approach this in a way where you understand that they did not have an easy time. They were left with 30 seconds on the clock while you drew 7.5 minutes out of the Buckeyes there. Monkey gets the Lucio dash on the back end. That's going to be bad for the support line of the Orange. They're kind of left now to take no space. And that's the problem with taking so much space so early is one goes down and you kind of crumble from the back end in. Lunar goes down and Azer goes down for the Orange side as they're forced to retreat all the way back to spawn. Be an overextension, but there's nobody to capitalize on it for the side of the Orange.
Yeah, Speedglass is really able to utilize that power slide, get out of danger's way while still inflicting damage right there. This guy is crazy on the map. The front and back, side-to-side movement from him and the consistent aim is fantastic, but it takes a village. It's not just going to be Speedglasses.
Yeah, and that's a huge point of this game is you see guys put up amazing performances in terms of damage, but you're only shooting the tank, or there was nobody to capitalize on the things you did. And that's the biggest part about Overwatch is there is no player except Genji when nobody's looking at him on an ult that can take away a game. And Speedglasses gets rid of a support. That's a big one. Lucio has been the lifeblood of a lot of this team so far, and both supports go down for the side of the Buckeyes. Orange could capitalize huge here. They should get point as Speedglasses gets Urim, and Hazard going to just go, I'm not gonna stagger here. Gonna walk back and lounge his way back to the site.
All comes back to the speed, and they're going to capitalize and get this, but you got to get it all the way through, and you got to have more than 38 on the clock, so they're certainly going to need to do that. So far, looks like an engagement's coming up soon. Ohio State utilizing the high ground might drop down and get in some physical fights right there, but damage inflicted nonetheless.
Surprised no space was taken there by the Buckeyes when they had the Hazard and the Genji back on their own wall with the wall between them from their team. As Kiriko lets an ult loose, that's going to be a little bit undervalued as the Buckeyes are comfortable backing up. They have ults of their own. They have their own Kiriko ult. They have their own Hazard ult. But Genji could be a massive part here. We mentioned that when Genji is not looked at, he's the most dangerous character in the game because suddenly your backline's gone in 4 seconds. We'll have to see what Azer's going to do.
Especially when it's Azer. We saw him literally cut through the Ohio State defense
and
in
here,
this map 1. He's going to do it again right here.
Here comes the Hazard ult and right into the Genji ult. You can see that it's fairly tough to move when you're stuck in the ground forcefully, as that is a very good setup. King Donut really nowhere to go. Stuck on site alone. Speedglasses gets him. Azer gets one more. Lau gets Lunar in the process, but Speedglasses and Azer. Mop and Broom clean it up.
Love that. So far, so good out of the dynamic damage duo, Speedglasses and Azer. As they're going to continue to take space here. But again, nothing's ever given on Kings Row. So windy, you're turning corners, and the entire defense is right there. So many different levels to combat as well. And we just got things flying through the map right now, just trying to inflict damage any way they can.
And boy, the Orange have cruised way quicker here than the Buckeyes. If they want to hold here, they can. The Lucio ult comes out, giving the other team, or giving the Buckeyes extra health in terms of that, but it doesn't get much to waste as Syracuse able to out-heal it. Lunar gets Monkey They're down a DPS on the Buckeye side as Ohio State tries to move forward. One support down for the Orange as Speed Glasses goes down as well. Both supports down for the Orange, rather no, one support down as well for the Buckeyes. King Donut alone on point, doesn't have his support with him as Lucio with a glorious match on point as Lau caught alone in the engine room. Not sure where they were in terms of positioning. What a team fight from the Orange. This is a completely different team than we saw 4 months ago. And I cannot reiterate that hard enough.
Yeah, no, 100%. We talk about this roster being a little bit on the younger side, but their maturity from the beginning of this season to now to potentially going up 2-0 on Ohio State, they're able to get something going in these next 3 minutes is phenomenal.
Look, this is a good team, and this is good to see from this team, I think, is the biggest thing that I think Ryan would be saying right now. Made a joke to Ryan today that they're the best 1-5 team in the country, and he was joking about it as Hazard with an amazing play here with Azer and Lucio alongside. They get 4. King Donut left alone on point, goes down. What a play by the Orange. Hazard taking up all the damage, so all 4 other Oranges can come and just clean the floor again.
Carson, this Azer guy's pretty good, huh?
This Azer guy is pretty good, and I have to say, he's ulting again, has another support, and completely ends the game entirely.
Wow, what a takeover. Obviously, all 5 of these Orange members playing a factor. You mentioned the tank and the Hazard eating up some of that damage, but Speed Glasses and Azer coming through with some incredible eliminations right there, and even M3 on the Lucio we saw in the kill feed right there, and of course, with supporting the teammates as well.
And look, don't look off the support is the biggest thing there. They were able to do that, and I think it's a big part of Overwatch is it's kind of like the O-line, and I'm an O-lineman, obviously.
Oh,
you don't see what the O-line does, but you do see it when Caleb Williams avoids 50 sacks in a year, how important an O-line is. And it's the same thing with supports in Overwatch. Jackson and Max carry this team in certain senses. When Azer is that good, and Azer can be that player, but if the supports are not there, nobody is able to play the game. That is the biggest part about Overwatch. You always have to have those supports, or your game will not be possible to win. It's a super interesting thing. It's a very great design team game, and I think I really enjoy that part about Overwatch because it gets a lot of criticism, it gets a lot of different things, but that team aspect is excellent and is so much fun.
Yeah, 100%. Now we're going to head into this next round in just a few seconds here. Who are you on the lookout for?
I'm going to be looking again at that Lucio. Max did a great job. I mean, you saw Max in the kill feed almost as much as Azer and Speed Glasses there. That was quite interesting how aggressive he plays that Lucio, and I'm a former Lucio main myself. It's the only gold gun I have other than Junkrat. Sorry. Sorry for saying that. That's the reason I'm hard stuck silver. Aram gets Saint on the other end. Ooh, just a really, again, the Orange are, again, this is the same problem they had in that first time, is the space is all different here. They're isolating themselves now on the defense instead of sticking together like they did on the offense. Azer goes down. Now the Orange are left kind of just giving space to the Buckeyes, but they have 3 minutes and the Buckeyes have 45 seconds. So they still have the advantage. They're going to take up as much time as they can, even if they are going to lose a bunch of space here, but they're going to be forced to back off point immediately. You see how disjointed that was versus when they were on offense. They need to stick together a lot better here.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see a Hazard duel up top, but eventually Lunar jumping away, trying to target one of the supports, eventually unable to find the kill, and Ohio State going to take control here, but certainly not over for the Orange.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, you have 3.5 minutes. The Buckeyes are already in overtime. So that's one of the interesting parts about this game, too, is the time is so different right now that the Orange are going to play a completely different way than Ohio State is. You saw how aggressive they were in taking space. Ohio State was on the point, jumped over the wall. Immediately the Orange do that, played a bit of a disjointed push, but now here they are. Good end here. Hazard pushes forward, which allows the R Hazard to go in their end and try and deal as much damage as he can. 2 in the other end. Monkey and Lau go down for the side of the Buckeyes. They're without a DPS and a support. King Donut alone. That Hazard still stuck on point, just stuck in a corner again. What a good wall from our Lunar. King Donut goes down. Here comes the ult. Hazard on that other section, gets Lucio up top, and that will be the end of overtime. The Orange only watched the Buckeyes move at 32.52 meters.
Ohio State popped both support ults right there, starting with the rush and then following up with Lucio's ult, and still unable to take any space. Phenomenal work out of the Orange right there. You have everything going against you momentum-wise in that very, very close space. Both supports, ultimates at your face, and you just shut it down, say on to the next.
That was so good. I went color commentator mode during the play-by-play. That was well played in every sense of it. Their Hazard did not know there was a wall behind them, and you saw that. completely isolates the supports. Their ults do nothing when they're not near your team, and that was the right play entirely. We saw them play a bit more spaced out, and that's what happens when they're in a choke point. That's what happens when they're together. It's everything to play together as a team, and this Orange team saw how important that was last week when they lost that last push with that Winston play. Winston was just playing away from his team, didn't have the team around him to play correctly. And you're seeing a completely different matchup here, seeing much more Hazard than you did last week for the Orange. This is very important.
Mm-hmm.
You win this is putting your foot on the gas, and this is knocking out a team that you think might be a championship contender in the PEC for Overwatch. This is huge. This is exactly what the Orange need for their season. And if they just need to take a deep breath right now, go 1-0 this match.
100%. You can have them in the chokehold of the series if you're able to capitalize right here, but it hasn't happened yet, so you can't count anything as we get into this initial battle on Kings Row.
Orange going to take very aggressive either way here. They're going to let the space that Buckeyes give them fill up as King Donut, again, half health. You're seeing how that supports being bothered on the other end really is important. Donut almost dies there, which would have been just disaster for Ohio State as they go back on the other side. Just up top, we see Lunar now isolating his support. Gets chased by their Hazard. And again, it's just isolating those supports away from the rest of the team. Lau now forced in the back end. Watch how Lunar is playing this game. No attention to anyone else, just supports, except Monkey there. Back to the site, the supports are gone. You can you can play Monkey there, but so much focus on the supports, so much focus on it. And as down goes Lucio again. Lunar just doing a great job in the back end. King Donut now left alone on site. Gonna lose site for the Orange, or rather for the Buckeyes, as it goes towards the Orange. Very, very good push here. You got to move it now to into that choke point and park the car right there.
Listen, Ohio State, they might be able to dot the I, but if you're Syracuse, what did you just do? You went and fried right there. Again, nothing done for the Orange yet, but this is looking beyond promising for Cuse.
Yeah, and you're watching how much space they have right here. Ohio State needs to break into this bubble, and they're going to try and do it, but the Orange are about halfway there already from that push. Very slow push from the Ohio State team, just because they couldn't take enough space. They had to stay with point, which is the biggest thing, is you didn't want to isolate at all. 4.76 meters remaining in this game. Wow, gets Saint, but there's a massive damage amount here as Azer does a great job capitalizing as Lunar gets the last one. Just Lucio to beat, and they do it. Orange up 2-0 on the Buckeyes.
Absolutely huge right there out of Syracuse. You saw Hazard from Ohio State, King Donut trying to push in, trying to get something going, and Syracuse, Azer, and company shut it down. Those guys are pumped up, ready to go into the next one.
And play of the game for Azer, as I had a little bit of a rough game in terms of some certain parts last week, but just dominated this week. We're seeing the end of the Orange Kings Row defensive hold here. Wasn't able to get that, but Azer basically got a 5K there. Did massive amount of damage to the last one, who did not get counted in even the assist for Azer, but that is a very good sign for the Orange. And like I said to Ryan, he was a little bit skeptical of what I said. I believe we were the best 1-5 team in the nation. This team is not what their record shows. They've improved in a massive way, and you're seeing that right now. As Ryan massages Jackson's shoulders, you can see just how much the supports mattered in that game.
That is the key to a good support. Are you getting shoulder massages from your coach? And again, this really comes down to how close that team is together, huddling around. You saw the dap-ups, the fist bumps, things of that nature. And they're all standing next to each other on stage, talking through what's going to happen next. Yes, initially, when that game ended, you saw a little bit of a pop-up, a little bit of stand-up, let's go. But they're looking still loose and kind of happy, but a lot more calm than they did at the end of game one, because they know they got to close the door here.
Job's not finished. Have to go out here and win that game 3. It's a massive game 3 here for the Orange. If you can go out there and go show the PEC that you just beat one of the best teams 3-0, it's going to be a breath of fresh air after a tough fall season that I know they were not happy about. I heard it all winter from Ryan, as I'm sure everybody else, that he's very passionate about this team and he cares a lot. And this shows with how much they've improved. We'll have to see if they can do it against game 3 against this Buckeye team. But those fellas in Columbus are not looking, I think, too happy at their screens right now. Mental might be a little bit down if maybe you were expecting to roll this Orange team.
Certainly, you take a timeout, you take a sip of water, and talk through how you're going to get back into this game. And again, as we said, it starts with 1 for Syracuse to open it up here. Starts for 1 for Ohio State to reverse the script and say, okay, we're done playing with our food. We're going to go crazy the rest of this series. And that certainly can happen. But absolutely, the this next map is crucial. It is. And if if you're Ohio State, you got to fight in and stay alive. If you're Syracuse, you don't want to get frantic. You don't want to overchow anything. You just want to play the version of the game that has been able to get you into this point right now.
You were hoping for a win against Columbus, but right now you could be having a crushing of Columbus when they were looking to make orange juice out of you.
Wow.
And that Citrus side, they are definitely feeling good right now. I can tell you right now that this team, I don't think, has felt this way in a very long time. And they need to calm down, play this game. And I know these guys are calm because they're now just sitting there doing the same thing they've been doing the entire game, sitting there laughing, joking. That's kind of their thing. They're a very tight-knit group. They are, I think, maybe the most, they hang out the most of all of the teams outside of it. I know you guys hang out a lot. You guys play a lot of games. I know they hang out a lot in person.
I got you.
Which I know is not a familiar concept for you.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It's snowing outside. Why would I go outside? But no, one thing you got to think is in the back of the mind of Sneaky right now is with all these teams going to qualify for playoffs, you know, record obviously plays a big factor, and even who you've beaten in head-to-head matchups if some tiebreakers come in. But even more micro level is the round differential and things like that. You've played almost flawless if you're Syracuse here. Of course, giving up pretty much the entire payload push in that last map, but able to come back and take that map. But again, 3-0 in map 1, you got to come out and you got to try to slam them as much as possible in map 3, just so, A, there's no doubt, and you set the standard for the PEC going forward with a massive win. But also when it comes down to the stats at the end of the year and things might look a little bit close, you can come back to this series and see exactly what happened.
Look, the Orange had a disaster last week against Kansas, is I think the way that Ryan phrased it to me. And you said it was a must-win game. That's what he said to you. It's huge to win this kind of game, and it would be huge to win this kind of game for this program heading in the right direction. And that Orange team was not expecting this week. I don't even think they came into this with the right mental, and Ohio State maybe didn't have their game ready, but the Orange did, and that's one of the biggest factors as we've seen here. That this team is 1-5 with a -7 round differential. When you look at this team on paper, it does not look good. They do not play well as a team. All of those things that we said earlier, that it appears from the outside. But you don't play this game on paper. And that's the biggest thing for this Orange team. They've taken that step up. They know who they are. And it doesn't matter in any sense of the word what has happened. The future is the only thing that matters for this team in upstate New York. And Citrus, it's looking all green for the Citrus. As Ryan, you see there, conversating with his team. Sneaky 91. The Ben Johnson of Overwatch, as I call him, and he wouldn't even understand that.
I don't know if that's the standard you want to set. You know, I know you're optimistic on your guys, but can we get some Bill Belichick or maybe, you know, Andy Reid?
Do you know me of hope, man? Yeah, no, I mean, he is a very player-oriented coach, as Ryan is.
Dan Campbell, if you will.
Dan Campbell. That's actually a very big compliment for Ryan.
I'm a sport management major, dude. This is all I know as we load into a little bit of a Canadian map, but looking just like outside of the Shine Student Center right now. Lots of snow.
I'd actually argue there is more snow outside the Shine Student
certainly.
Center right now. I'm from Chicago, so it's actually really nice because it's not -24 degrees with no snow. So everything isn't ugly, and it at least only feels ugly. And it's all beautiful and pretty outside. So it's like a 50-50. I'll take a 1-to-1 ratio on pretty and suffering because my jacket isn't thick enough and I didn't look at the weather. Which is something that I do all the time. I actually bought a winter coat today. I brought a winter coat today. This is the first time I've worn it, and it's been -degrees more than once.
Oh, hey, there's Overwatch on.
Yeah, and they're looking to take a. I was actually about to transition to that with a negative outlook here. They're trying to keep it cold as we see Mauga come out for the first time for that Ohio State team. Good picks here from the Orange. Both supports go down as you're seeing Juna now out for that other side as Cassidy goes down. This is a complete switch up for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, appears to be as Azer and Saint able to clean up houses.
Oh my gosh.
Azer has continued to slam. Monkeyed that opposing Genji. Going to be somebody we need to see open up in this one.
Harry and Jackson are just playing fluidly together. They're in the flow state is the best way I can put that. And Push, one of the least liked game modes at release, I think, of any video game ever, has grown on me a lot.
This is the absolute best. You see that robot going back and forth like he's running track for the Ohio State, but so far so good for the Orange here.
Yeah, as that unfortunately goes down to the other end. You're seeing that Juno, which is the reason that the Orange Bandit, they've struggled a heavy amount. Lunar goes down. Now playing Junker Queen, Azer, and Speed Glasses go down as well. Move that point forward just a little bit. That's the biggest part about push. You can have 30 seconds on that point. You only get 30 meters. It's a very slow robot. And they go back to the middle now. The Ohio State University will attempt to push it forward as the Orange try their best not to stagger here. Saint alone, though. Kiriko trying to escape. Teleports, is able to escape. That's a very big no stagger from the Orange, as their Kiriko does have ult, but Juna on the other team does as well. We've got a very big match overall and just ults overall.
Of course, it looks like Ohio State was about to match the distance of that robot right there, but stopped by Syracuse, and Lunar able to find one right there. Gonna see what else Lunar can find. Saint gonna find another one, and Lunar, a third right there. That is 4.
And Monkey there just watches the team go down as they can't attack while they're reflecting. What a play from the Orange. That Kiriko ult was a massive shutdown for the Juno ult there. That is exactly what the Orange are looking for. The bot now back in their favor. And a lot of the time, these team fights, if they go right and left, just can kind of end up being a weird situation where nobody pushes the point for a good minute or two because you're so stuck in the middle, having a team fight off point entirely while the robot jogs very lightly based on whoever is near it for half a second. But here comes the ult from Azer, looking for one. Unfortunately, goes down instantaneously. He has Monkey ults on the other end, and the supports can't help him as they are in their own back line. Lunar trying their best here, but can't take too much patience with Junker Queen without much of a team there.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of this map, if Ohio State wants to get back into it, it's going to have to be with their Genji play. Shut down Azer, that's exactly what they did there. I believe his first ult of the day that hasn't connected with at least one, but significantly more as we've seen in the past. Monkey leading his team, willing them to even this up in terms of distance, and he has teammates with some ultimates.
And he is no longer playing Genji, is I think the biggest point there. Seeing a Tracer now is now those supports are a little less defensive, and you have to play a little less defenseless, and you have to play this game a bit more with a character that can avoid it. As Juna not focused by the team, Lunar goes down. The Orange have lost their tank to Monkey. There's a very good team push right now from that Ohio State side who are looking to equalize the Oranges. The bot is still taken and robbed away despite Ohio State winning this team fight. They took the bot, and that's the weirdest part about this. Is a good rewind here. Azer gets one more, is trying to get that last support. Going to have to back up into that health kit there, but that's a great job as we've got a player off the game. Emmy, I'm not sure if that's a... actually, no, that is a non-playing player right now. Never mind.
All right, just one of the substitutes coming in and out, but King Jonah able to find one on Speed Glasses right there and attempts to take momentum, but Syracuse says, we're going to take that robot and head the other way. Here comes King Donut trying to get something going there. Continues to chase after the kill. Lau able to get one on M3, so you're down a support. You're down both supports. What is Syracuse going to do here? King Donut and Aram going to take over.
That was a use of ult for sure from that Cassidy there as Aram gets the last two there. Good ult from the Cassidy. I mean, it got people, but I think that's very low value in terms of what you have. The Orange now have both DPS ults and are approaching both support ults. That is not when I think you use that Cassidy ult, unfortunately, for the Buckeyes. We'll have to see how it evolves as we move on to that point, but now there's a massive ult advantage in the form of Syracuse. Now you can take that step forward, and you're seeing trying to use a bomb here for Tracer.
Yeah, exactly. Being down 2 games to none, you can see Ohio State trying to play for instant gratification and trying to take over right there. Maybe the ult economy not looking too favorable for them right now, but it doesn't matter as King Donut and Monkey able to take out Speed Glasses. And we're going to see what else they can find here as Syracuse is on the retreat.
Yeah, and a complete switch up from the side of the Buckeyes is looking very good, and maybe they were just trying out the dive at this point. They've been very good on dive this year and also very good on this Mago comp. As he is pretty much destroying this team in the other end in all facets. The support is there for him as well. As we see now, a Junker Queen ult stunned right at the last moment. Not good, but down goes Maga. As that Junker Queen ult took up so much space that the Orange were able to get into that backline. The support's the only one left on the side of Ohio State. Trying to get one more. One last one for Azer as they go back to the other side. And the Orange, slowly but surely, take that team fight away as King Donut is left unkempt by the supports.
I have to say, one of my favorite dynamic duos in esports is Lunar and Azer, especially when it's Junker Queen and Tracer. It's absolutely lovely Overwatch to see as Syracuse trying to get to this checkpoint. Ohio State bashing forward, Lau and Co taking over a room on Saint. There goes M3. You don't have support, so Lunar's going to fall to Monkey's ult. and Monkey really showing up in this map 3.
No Mauga ult used, but none needed. That Juno ult and that Genji ult basically just put it the right foot forward, left foot forward, and they walked all over the orange, unfortunately, and made orange juice out of them.
You
on
had
this
to
section.
do it. You
Well,
had to
I
do
used it positively. Now I have to use it negatively. It's a really, unfortunately, a good one. It's a zinger, if you will.
Interesting team fight right here. The robot can't make up his mind on what he wants to do. Syracuse leading him forward, but we got a rush coming in. King Donut has continued to use that as he's taken space on the orange, but however, M3 is going to support his team right there with that ult. Able to find 3, 4, and now you're down to 1 if you're Ohio State. That's not going to matter. Back to spawn you
Speed
go.
glasses. Oh my goodness, what a play on that ult. 2 more and well. That was a rolling by Steam Glasses, who just turned into Speedwagon there. That was beautiful. Beautiful play from Cassidy, who now has to go back up as Mauga is going to stagger alone with the team slowly supporting there, able to keep themselves alive for just long enough. But now the Orange have their own Mauga. We're switching team comps now. No longer dive. That Junker Quinn I don't think was the right pick for the Orange, and I think they see that now. Have to see how this changes, as the team comp isn't moving much elsewhere, but this could be still very good for the Orange. They need to win this, though, but they've struggled a mighty amount on control.
Yeah, Arum has that ultimate that we mentioned a little bit earlier. Maybe he used it a little bit too early just for a little instant gratification to take over just a little bit, but a pretty even matchup right here. Syracuse has some distance to go. We'll see if Azer can help take it. Speed Glasses will find another one as Monkey is able to return, but Vowie gonna fall to Speed Glasses. And we got a big fight right here, tank on tank, and a big kill from Lunar.
Show me the hot sauce, Lunar. What a play! That was just excellent. Great jump there, great rush. Just had the Kiriko ult as well from Saint. That was a steamrolling, and now the Orange have the ult advantage and have the bot. They need to win this next team fight to get that spot back. They're down about 30 meters here with 1:40 to go. Started with 10 if you were curious, but oh my goodness. What a good start from the Orange, but this is going to be it. King Donut coming on point. Ult from Mauga. Everybody stuck in there with him. Going to take all of his health down, but he manages to live. Azer with 1 kill. Down go 1 more. Monkey gets 1 more, but bang! Azer gets the last.
Absolutely phenomenal. Flawless work out of the Syracuse Orange right there. Speed Glasses is taken over with this. Cassidy still has an ultimate to use for when they tie this game up right around here. You've had to go so far, so much distance every team fight you've won for Syracuse. That is not the case anymore as you're pushing deeper and deeper into Ohio State territory.
And this is the problem with push. They're not done. They have 20 more meters to go. They got 17 meters out of that push, unfortunately, in a very, very good team fight, and a team fight win. And you have to back off space, unfortunately, because they have the ult and they have the space here. Monkey has the ult, the Genji ult for the other side here on the Buckeyes. Curious to see how they go about it, but he'll rush here from Mauga, from both sides rather. Monkey gets 1 with that. Speed Glasses goes down, who's been a great section there, but Arum on the other side takes up a massive amount of space. That Mauga did a great job taking space, but the Orange could not take the bot forward any more than 58.454 meters, and they're still down a huge amount with 25 remaining.
In this entire matchup overall, and especially in this series, the Genji has been the decider, whether it's been Azer or Monkey. Monkey getting shut down early, really popping off this match. Azer able to respond temporarily back on that Genji, getting off that Tracer like earlier, but Syracuse able to work the bot in the direction they want to go, but you're going to have at least 2 ults coming at you in King Donut and Lau. Lau going to pop it right here.
You've got forward spawn now onto overtime. This is everything here. 5 on the other side. Azer still trying to get back as you go on point. And the Mauga ult just too much for the Orange. Overwhelmed on site. Saint goes down as well. Speedwagon the next, or Speed Glasses the next, apologies, as Azer, the only one left, trying to defend, get any point they can. But it looks like the Buckeyes will take Game 3 after the Orange with a 2-0 start. Very exciting fall to the Buckeyes in Game 3. We move on to Game 4. The Buckeyes keep themselves alive in Columbus.
This is how you start a reverse sweep. That's simply how it is. And Monkey and King Donut are very, very much not out of this. Lau with some incredible ult usage in that one as well. Earns himself the play of the game.
Yeah, and no ban from Juno. And what happens? That's all I'm going to say. This Orange team has banned Juno for a reason. They, I believe, don't, I guess, have the Juno play that other teams have, because people only really play Juno right now because Juno's really good. And that ban of Juno was very big those first 2 games. I'd like to see it again, to be honest with you, unless you'd like to see something else from Ryan. I'm curious what he's going to say to the team. That's a tough loss. It's not a blowout, and it's not a close one, so it's the best kind of loss to have, I think, personally.
Yeah.
You competed, but you didn't win. Have to go in there. You're still on stage. You got 2-0. This game is not over. The Orange have a very good opportunity to go here and can move forward and can pummel this Buckeye team when they get back to that control, which they saw on Elios. They rolled them on Elios. And if the Orange can do the same, it would be huge for them.
I think when you watch this map back, we had the majority of team fights going the way of Syracuse. It was just in the location that it was happening. It was in 3/4 of the way into that Syracuse base, and every time they got the kill and they got the robot moving, there was one instance you even said 17 meters out of the Orange after getting all of the team kills there. And that is something that is really, really big. You get the entire team down, but 17 meters, that was the distance. And if that's what you're getting after a team kill, you're not going to win.
It's hard. I mean, they had forward spawn, so that's the biggest thing there. And forward spawn is a huge part of this. And once you get forward spawn, you basically can stagger them 3 times before they can get that bot to the other section. And it's really tough. And for the Orange, that's what happened to them, unfortunately. They just kind of got rolled by that forward spawn. And you saw them, they won more team fights. They straight up did win more team fights, but they won the less meaningful team fights because the Buckeyes knew when to back off. They knew when it mattered, and they took it away when they mattered. And the Orange used their ults maybe at the wrong time there. Didn't really have, I guess, the idea of when you needed to use those ults, when they were going to use those ults is less of a counter. But the Juna, I believe, was just overpowering. I think you have to ban that.
I got some bad news for you because the bans came in and Juna's not one of them. You got Hazard on the side of Ohio State, taking him out of the picture, and Brig coming out of sneaky 91's camp.
I'm happy with that, actually. Brig was a massive problem, and you saw Azer get shut down on 2 ults because of it.
Yep. Able to take over right there, and that's good coaching. Able to counter and take into this map 4, one that you cannot lose if you're Syracuse, because if you go into that map 5, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, think about the Panthers and the Oilers. I know you're a big hockey fan.
I am.
It probably, that game 7, when you have let a team come back, when you're up 3-0 and you've let a team come back 3 games and you're now at game 7, that last game 7 is the hardest thing if you've lost 3 games in a row. You have no momentum in your booth. You have to win this game. If the Orange are going to win, this is the most important time to win. They have the momentum still. The Buckeyes won that game. The Orange aren't out of this in any way, shape, or form. I mean, they're up 2-1. It's a tough team, but you can do this. You have to go in there and play your game. You rolled them last time you were here. You're not going to have the help of Hazard. You have to play this a new way. Maybe Junker Queen is the pick. I've seen it a lot in the Orange, and it has not worked out well, to be honest with you. If Malga comes out, you can't play Junker Queen, I feel, with how they've been playing it. But Juno's going to be out there. Junker Queen and Malga just steamroll that into pavement, unfortunately.
Yeah, one of the beauties or the pains of sports is the idea of the reverse sweep, and we mentioned it with the Oilers and Panthers and what almost was. We've seen it in so many other sports and so many esports especially, where momentum can really take over, especially when it's not as physical as some of those things like hockey, and you're not dealing with broken ribs and things like that. But there is routine and things like that. Syracuse just did what they did in between all 3 of those first maps. Get up, get a drink of water, talk to each other in a huddle. So no change of pace or strategy right there from them in terms of the routine that they're going through. Interesting to see what they do on the map.
Just calm down is the biggest thing. Just calm down. You're ahead. You have this game in the bag if you want it to be there. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough in that first game. I'll tell you what, because Ohio State matched it. Should have played Juno from the start if they, well, they banned it twice. Yep. But I think they banned Juno the first time, which was kind of interesting. They were the ones that didn't like to see that. The Orange have been fine seeing that. And I think that's something to look at is how they play against Juno. And should they just ban Juno every time? Because so much healing and that ult is massive in the sense of just like, you see that ult come out and your team fight is over. And a lot of the time you have to play a Juno to counter that, which has been the meta a lot of the time towards the top tier of this game. And obviously we're not 100% there. We have a lot of great players, but we're not towards that top tier. Where at that point everyone has to play Juno, because if you don't play Juno, the other team is Juno and you're going to lose.
Exactly. It's the hero mirroring that we see so much in the PEC and Overwatch in general, as the heroes are being assembled going into map 4.
What a view.
Ohio State on the defensive pulling out all the stops and really not trying to break what they've been doing well, but at the same time having to play a little riskier because Syracuse can play a little more conservative and potentially will their way to the top.
And what you're looking at right now, folks, is Finger Lakes in the upstate New York area.
Yeah.
And beautiful. Of course, the Orange hoping to have a game as beautiful as that Finger Lakes, I guess, idea. But you gotta put it forward. You have to lock in here. This is everything. This is where we saw the I guess the death of the team against Kansas. This game was a massive heartbreaker, a arrow through the heart, if you will, after a Game 1 forfeit where you thought you had everything. Kansas had tech problems. Someone had to go to the facility, unfortunately.
Yep.
And you go into that, and that's a tough problem. And instantly, an ante from the Anna, but that goes down. Saint and Mac go down on the other side. That is a very rough start from the Orange. No supports. They're going to lose this team fight flat out.
Yeah, I think we really got to look at M3 and playing Lucio. We've seen Lucio, obviously, in all of these maps, but this map especially, utilizing height, able to heal and really whip around corners with speed, but Ohio State taking over in this early game, winning that first team fight, so they're going to get the initial time on this.
Look, you're seeing Juna, and you're not seeing it on the side of the Orange, and that might be a big thing here. Obviously, for that first time, Juna puts out a massive amount of damage. For starters, that's kind of absurd how much damage she does. She does damage in a few more supports or a few more DPS in this game. But up top, you're seeing she's on a completely different level. You have to completely change how you play the game, as Azer can't do anything. Azer doesn't have the movement to deal with that, unfortunately, at certain points. You run out, you go down the wrong way, but Lunar got King Donut. That's the big part about that, too, is they're trying to support the healers, and down goes the tank, and now you have the infinite space glitch as Orisa can come in and just basically take all the space she wants. She is one of the hardest tanks to deal with in the game without your tank.
Yeah, Speedglass is able to deliver a powerful pulse right there to knock Ohio State's team off and work for this next team fight.
And, yeah, now they have the point. So that's what you wanted out of that.
Yep.
Ohio State got up to 77% here. This is first to 5, or first to 3, rather.
Correct.
On this map set here. It's a best of 5 within a best of 5.
Mm-hmm. As Syracuse getting about halfway to where Ohio State started off, a little under halfway to where they need to get overall, and just pre-firing that door by saying, come in our way, you know we're here, we know we're here, and the tank's going to burst through and say that he's here. Let's see how Syracuse can counter.
Yeah, that Orisa ult, not great, but Azer gets 3. What a dash from Azer. Monkey and Lau go down as King Donut can do nothing but run. Lunar mows him down with the lawnmower spear, as that is just a beautiful play from Azer. That is exactly the step in the right direction to help from his team. That's how a team works. The cog in the machine just moving the right direction. That's exactly what Ryan wants to see from this team right there.
Ult comes out from Lau in Juno, and we've seen Syracuse struggle with that earlier, but Lunar and Co shut it down as we get into another team fight back and forth with Soldier taking the high ground, able to find one, trying to find another, and they're able to as a team. So far, so good from the Orange. Can they finish here?
Monkey has to go down for this to go the right way. Lau gets one more healer. Lunar alone with nobody to support. Was looking well first, but Lunar goes down, and the Buckeyes take it back in revolutionary fashion. Had both supports go down. We're down 2-3, but just got the supports, man. I mean, that's everything for this game, and unfortunately didn't support them in the right way. You want to see your team moving as a machine, and the Orange are going to have to do that once more here. Saint with the 2017 Halloween Anna skin, I believe.
Exactly. That's one of my favorite things about Overwatch as an esport is these 99% desperation plays that you see time and time again. First one going to go to Ohio State, but Syracuse going to rotate here, try to play on this second point, which they struggled with against Kansas. Let's see what they can do here.
Yeah, it's going to come down just entirely to kind of how those supports are played with. And you can just go down and attack them if you're the other side, and if you're not going to defend it, you're not going to win the game for Syracuse, and that's the biggest point here. Saint, no support there. Anna has to play at a distance, and when it closes, it's super tough for Anna to defend herself if she doesn't have any of her util, which you were using on the other team. But Speedglasses and Saint get 2. One support down for the Buckeyes side as the tank goes down as well with Sojourn. Going back on the other end, they're trapped in that hole, but can't do much of anything else as they go right to the back to site. That is a great play from the Orange, and just isolating the right players. You've got to keep them away from the supports, to keep the supports away from the game by killing.
That's a huge counter out of Syracuse. Monkey using that ult that we saw them so deadly with in this last map, and able to practically shut it down. You didn't get as clean of a break as you want, as Ohio State got a little bit of time initially, and that was kind of a slower team wipe overall, but Monkey utilizing that all, seeing nothing in the kill feed, something you like to see if you're wearing orange.
It was methodical, and Lunar doing the same thing here. Sees the Mauga, pushes in, does the same thing with the ult. Q doesn't get much, but it does take space. Back in the other end, they're all stuck in this corridor on the other end. Azer has ult here. It'd be interesting to see him use it. He's going to back out. I think that's exactly what we might see here as Lunar goes down on the other end. Saves the ult, still trying to keep it around. Vovi gets one more. And I think Azer's just going to save it here. Knew the team fight wasn't going to be good enough as they had, unfortunately, went into the back end. That's going to be a lot of ults used, though, on that. That's really interesting. That's very smart. The Orange did not use an ult there when they did not need to. And I'm very proud of Azer for not using that ult, despite of what I just said. Yeah, that was the right choice entirely.
You have three if you're the Orange. You got Speed Glasses on Soldier, you got Azer on Genji, and Saint able to help out with that support as well. And you got nothing in the ult economy if you are Ohio State. So you got to be really, really tough to counter 3 ults coming at you, 1 support and 2 attacks. You got time if you're Ohio State. You're getting a kill right there, but Syracuse already capturing the point.
That's a back cap. That's a bad cap as Azer goes right off there. Speed Glasses gets 2. Lau gets 1 more. Last one on the point is Sojourn. She's pushed off with the spear. And 1 more final punch for Lunar with the knockout. That's 1-1 for the Orange. Really good start and a really good response after a tough loss on that 99% earlier.
Yeah, able to tie it up 1-1 on the flashpoint here, but as we mentioned earlier, certainly not done. Are we going to see all 5, or is one team going to take 2 more consecutively? That's going to be something we wanted to keep an eye on, as Saint able to hold on to that ult through that final fight on that last flashpoint. But King Donut, Monkey, Lau, and Co. able to charge theirs up probably as we get in a little past this first fight.
Yeah, this is going to be a very big set here because you're going to be playing from behind or you're going to be playing up 1 on match point here. You can do it. Lunar and Saint get both supports, rather, just Sojourn and Juno there. That's a very big support to go down. Monkey, though, gets 1 in the form of Speed Glasses. The Orange have the Nano on the other side. Down goes the last support. No tank either for the Buckeyes. And that is the initial start to this point. This mode is very interesting to me. It's such a different flow, and it is quite amazing how often you have to change how you play the game. And for Overwatch, and this is a huge thing, they played 3 versions of the same comp, Syracuse. Now they're playing an entirely different comp, an entirely different map, because you have to do something entirely different, because you're playing on like a sandbox now.
Yeah, King Donut trying to get away with his life in that last fight. Ultimately, the entire team got wipes, and you could see why King Donut gonna bash forward, able to have that ult. Let's see what it can find. Lunar with another big ult out of his side of things as well, and going back and forth.
Yeah, the twirly bird there, ult from that Lunar there just didn't go well. Got 2, but Lau gonna get the last 2. For the Orange, that was tough. I mean, that was very tough. They have the ult now in their favor. It's 4-0 in terms of that. I mean, 1 Lucy will have by the time they get there. But that is, it's not what you wanted to see if you were the Orange. Ult used there and just couldn't get it done. But yeah, you've got plenty of game to go. I think that's the biggest important part here. And we're going to see, I think, a few Ohio State ults here. They're going to want this point and make the Orange play behind.
Yeah, you got to see, does Monkey use his now, or do we wait for a future point right there? Gonna be able to deflect and dash his way to a couple kills. King Donut able to help out on Lunar as well, as you surpass the Orange lead and can take map control from here. Yeah,
and that's the obligatory have to lose this team fight because of the Juno ult. Now you have a bit more to work with. Have 2 ults on your side alone. Now you can move in, and we hear that ult right there. That's Genji on their side going for it. Monkey doesn't have anybody yet. Gets 1 in the form of Speed Glasses, but the Orange are on point and might have enough to capture. No, they won't. Here comes the ult from Lucio. Probably matched by Lucio. No, the other Lucio goes down. Juno playing alone on the other end. Azer has his ult here, trying to chase after Juno. Able to get the last one, but there's still 2 stuck on point. The Orange have nothing else but Azer on point.
Yeah, overtime right here. Azer going to have to go huge, but he is going to go to his spawn. 2-1 for Ohio State on this. They need 1 more to tie this entire series up.
Yeah, that's a demoralizing thing to say out loud, for starters, and the Orange do not want that to happen to them. You don't want to be playing. What the Florida Panthers did is not something that you want to do as a team. You won your first Stanley Cup, but boy, was that not a fun experience to go through if you were a fan. mean, you heard Wayne Gretzky say that in 50 years, that's something you'll remember. And I think that was the biggest thing I remember from that is getting reverse swept is a very tough thing to go to. It is the ultimate mental crusher. You go into the next week not feeling great, but the Orange through the Sojourn ult will try and prevent that from happening. King Donut gets Saint. The Orange have lost a support, and here comes Sojourn now pinned away in the back end. As she ults, can't do anything to help her teammate Azer, and Lunar goes down. Is Sojourn unable to do much of anything as they just have to back off and keep themselves away.
Yeah, Monkey deflecting back into Lunar, back to Lunar's spawn, and they're going to take this initial time right here. You don't have too much if you're Syracuse. You do have that Lunar ult, you do have the Saint ult, who Saint has been holding on to that thing the entire time. But again, Lau and Juno having that ult in just a few seconds here on the Ohio State side of things, excuse me. Azer tries to open it up and finds Lau right there, but that's not something you want to get used to if you're Syracuse.
Yeah, Speed Glasses gets Aram as the Saint goes down in that perspective there. As Lunar gets two with the ult, Nazer gets one more. That's a team fight win. Cut, dry, and simple. Just made a BLT out of that one. That was a beautiful team win for the Orange. Have to keep the point now. Do not want to give this up. This is where you want to win. This is where you show the PEC who you are. But can't say it's going to be easy against those Columbus players.
Exactly. They're going to try to get in before Syracuse could even tie here, and that's not too much of an issue if they end up tying and surpassing. It's all about how this next team fight comes out, because if you're Ohio State with your first 54 initial percent, you're going to be able to fly to 70, 80 next team fight, but they got to win it here if they want to get that.
Yeah, and Lunar is able to get one support there, but needs the support from the team. You're seeing how isolated they are. They're playing two different points, and it's honestly going better than I thought it would go. They're now having to split the attention from the Buckeyes. They weren't able to focus on any given one spot, and that worked very poorly for them. They just were shooting at the two up top, weren't able to get it, but now they've got two supports alone. Azer should not use his ult here, and he won't need to, as he's 1v1 against Genji in the back end, supported by Saint, who just clobbered Genji so hard he went back to the spawn room.
Yeah, I could hear nice through the soundproof glass right here. Saint and co were very, very excited with that win. Hopefully able to tie it up at 2 apiece here, but Ohio State might have time for just one more push. They're going to try to. They're going to push up this street, see what they can do. Lunar's going to try to shut it down at entrance.
And here comes Azer with the ult. Hits Juno up top, but can't finish them off. It's a counter ult from the other Genji. Saint gets two, but is able to not able to help their other teammate there as the Orange just roll over the Buckeyes there. That is exactly what you want to see from upstate New York.
You got to do the LeBron celebration right now. Push it down, pump the chest on Columbus right there. Going into the 5th round on this 4th map, Syracuse has to do everything. They have to pull out the stops. There's no more strategy to hide here because you want to end it right here.
This is everything here. You have to go into game 5 demoralized as all ever. You go down there, Monkey punches Speed Glasses, goes down, but Saint able to get in that other end. Monkey, though, able to get two. Both supports at a bit of a disadvantage here for the Orange. They're unable to get Juno on the other end. Saint goes down. No supports for the Orange. Azer goes down. Monkey alone by Monkey. Goes into King Court on the other side, trying the best to get anything they can. Genji went down there on the other end. Goes down. Just not great.
Really frustrating for Syracuse is Saint and Kiriko able to use that rush and get nothing out of it. Sure, you got some kills right there, but no map control and a team wipe for your own team. So that is a very, very big ultimate that might come back into play towards the end of this 5th flashpoint, but one that you really would have liked to gotten early.
Yeah, just a bad team fight, unfortunately, for the Orange there. Have to now put it in the right direction. Be great to get the point here, make Ohio State play from behind. King Donut just shooting right at the deflecting Genji, nearly puts Saint away themselves. Saint goes down, unfortunately, though. Here's a massive push forward, massive space taken for the Buckeyes there, and that's going to be a team fight loss for the Orange. They can do nothing but watch as those Columbus esports players just steamroll them.
You got to play perfect Overwatch here. You lose 2, you might not even get to the 3rd and final team fight right here before this timer runs out. But if you do, you have no ults to work with, whereas Juno has one waiting for you, and I'm sure that's going to come into play so Ohio State can say goodbye to this map and on to the next.
Yeah, I have to see what it's going to come down to here. Juno will likely use that ult for the side of the Buckeyes here. We'll have to see. Orange on point, have the space, going to be able to cap momentarily if they can. No, Juno coming out with the ult here. Here we go. Alt counter ult from Lucio. Everything is going on point, to be honest with you, and more ult's going to come out here as we go on through this team fight. Max gets one in the form of in the form of Sojourn on the other end, but Lunar goes down in the process. They counter Lucio ult. Here comes AM, trying to be 2016 LeBron. Back in the other end, gets the deflect towards the other side. Now the support gets to 1 during that ult, able to get 2 just off the end of it. Mauga the only one left. 2 versus 1. Mauga the only one left. Cleaned up on point. The Orange stay alive.
What did I say? 99-0 is the best part of Overwatch, and we could see it right here. Azer playing absolutely massive right there, and the guys are locked in and ready to go, ready to play defense. Because why? Because defense wins championships.
And what a play, but it's not over yet. You still have to defend Ohio State about 2 to 3 more times, depending on it, and they still have the ult advantage. Need to put it together here in the right way. And Doomfist might just be what you need here. Massive switch up at a massive time for the Orange. Down goes Sojourn in the other end. They've pushed them into a place they don't want to go, but Mauga ulting with Genji ult there. Saint goes down, support goes down, and Tank goes down for the Orange. Nothing they can do is now they're just kind of getting steamrolled, and the only one left there is the 2 supports, 1 support. And the Orange just kind of stuck on point. Monkey dashes, gets the last 2 in 1 fell swoop. And the Orange face game 5.
If there has been something that has dictated this entire series, it has been Genji's ultimate ability. And it doesn't really matter whose hands it is, whether it's Azer or whether it's Monkey. The maps have gone to the team in which that player has popped off with that ultimate. Great example right there.
Yeah, that was a really good combo ult. Mauga put them in that, unfortunately locked in the cage. And can't run away from Genji if you have about a 30-meter radius to walk around in, much less than that. But that's tough for the Orange. But it's not over. Nope. Again, this is game 5. You just watched 4 games of Overwatch, and now we're back to 0-0.
It all comes back to 0-0, and all of these games have been relatively competitive. A bit of a steamrolling for Syracuse in map 1 there, and that has been about the biggest gap. Everything else has been back and forth, including map 4, going the distance for that map. And now we go into map 5, some deep breaths on the stage right now, not wanting to let this one get away. But regardless, you've improved on your fall performance and definitely been a team that the PEC is certainly keeping their eye on now.
I'm all about looking at the positives, win or lose, but I want this game for the Orange. This team deserves it. They've worked so hard to move forward. They have done so much for this program in the sense of themselves. I mean, is kind of the more what I mean there. They have put the work in. They scrim very large amounts of time that I would not be able to devote to a game like Overwatch because I'm not good at it, for one, but B, because casting's my dream.
Silver's a lot of work.
Silver is a lot of work. It's just why I haven't gotten out of Silver yet, as I enjoy watching the game at a high level rather than watching my teammates play not at a high level, including myself, to be honest with you. But you're watching high-level gameplay is the best thing to say here. You see those pros. You see these same strategies executed by Ryan and his Orange team here. But they're talking to them. They're very calm about it. You're seeing not as much, a little bit more tension than you saw earlier. But
you're still seeing massage motions. There's just nobody in the chair this time. Maybe a little more firm, some more grip on that chair than would be tender massaging of the shoulders for their support player. But looks like they're asking questions, and I think that's what Ryan's doing to his players. He's asking questions in what do we want to be? What is it going to take for us to get this 5th and final map?
Yeah, it depends on what your team is. I mean, for some coaches, you're going to go in there. I don't really know what Ryan's saying right now, to be honest with you, because it depends. In a spot like this, some guys don't need motivation. Some guys need to be told, what are we going to do? What are we going to change to beat Ohio State? There's guys that are in there right now who are thinking to themselves, I need to be told what I did wrong, and I need to correct it right now. And there's guys that are saying that need someone to talk to them and be like, you are a good enough team to beat Ohio State. And that's what I'm going to say. This team is good enough to beat Ohio State. It's going to come down to game 5, and you play this game 100 times more, you might get down to 50-50, but you only got an odd amount of games to play, you can't tie. And you go into game 5 here, you have to approach it like you approached game 1.
Yep.
It's 0-0. Go out there and do what you did in game 1.
And if anything, you got to get off to a good start here, because I'm sure Ohio State, if they're a well-coached, well-developed team, they're calming down right now too, because they've been on a tear and they've taken back-to-back in really close fashions. but it's all going to come down to the beginning of this map 5 and who gets that first team fight, who's able to set the tone for this final map. If it's Ohio State, you're going to keep rolling. It's going to be really, really difficult for Syracuse, but Syracuse can come out like they did to start this evening and take control.
Columbus has a lot of decisions to make. Syracuse has a lot of decisions to make here. At the end of the day, this is a matchup you're going to look for in April. I will be watching the bracket very closely, because if the Orange can't put themselves back forward, they may end up playing Ohio State in the first round. This is not a game that the Buckeyes are now going to want to see. And that's one of the biggest things here is you're a pest now to these higher teams, and you are a good enough team. And when they play on stream, I don't know what it is. When these guys got into this facility, they have been playing so much better.
Yeah.
So much better basketball. Overwatch.
We have not been playing good basketball lately.
Besides that, the Orange need to put it together as a team here, and they did that last time. You saw some separation do well for them. Saw some space. You saw that point where there was two on that other section. Ohio State didn't target them, and that goes down to Ohio State. Ohio State could have won that matchup 100%. You have to just look one way, and they didn't. And it's going to come down to relying on what Ohio State's been doing, and if they don't change anything, you can win this. If they do change something, you can win this. And I think that's what I'm going to keep saying is the Orange are not out of this game. Ohio State may have won 2 in a row, but like we said with the Panthers, there's an aura to a Game 5, and they struggled with it last time on payload, but you have a different opportunity here. You're going to have different bands. So
I'm going to make a call here. I'm going to make a definitive call right here. The Genji is going to win this game. It's happened the last 4 maps. It's going to have to happen here. Is it going to be Azer? Is it going to be Monkey? That's remains to be seen, but that's going to take over this 5th and final map.
And the biggest thing, I think now when you're looking at it is who is going to ult last with Genji. It's amazing how many times Genji got nerfed and is still being played by so many players. It's really a testament to Genji mains overall and their devotion to their character. I could never have that. If my character got nerfed into the ground, I would never play it again. But you see, these are guys that have stuck with it, stuck with their programs, and stayed devoted to this game and worked very, very hard at this. And that's kind of the biggest thing here is you're watching 10 people who are devoted to this, go out there every Tuesday and put it all on the line. And this is one of those biggest things is you're going to be looking back at this match when you're scouting for April if you're the Buckeyes. If the Orange are doing the same thing.
Yep. No
matter who you play, no matter any given day what it is, when you get into April and you have to play this team in the playoffs, because if these teams play as well as they have, they will play each other in the playoffs. It's what's going to happen with how well they've been playing. If they keep up to this level, they will do that. But some people rise on the stage, some people fall on the stage. We'll see how it goes in that point, but I think this is just a testament to how close competition can be. And
this is a big VOD match no matter what the outcome is. Certainly, because of how close it's been, there's going to be things that both of these teams look back at and say, hey, like, look what happened here. We need to fix that going forward. That can't fly. But for one thing I absolutely love as a player is when you're able to go back into the VOD and look at things you did really well, especially against a very high team. If you're able to play up a little bit and say, wow, look at that potential. Man, I hit that route. Man, we won that team fight.
Yeah.
That can certainly be a confidence booster going into the next week, the week after that, even in April, like you mentioned, when these teams potentially face off once again.
Yeah, and this is you may never see this Ohio State team again, but the lessons you learn from this week will be big. The motivation, even if you lose this right now, if you're Syracuse, you are going to go back and watch those games and be like, we were a play away. Like, you talk about it with a lot of these teams that miss the playoffs in other sports leagues. Like, oh, this team was 4 or 5 plays away, and you have to win those plays. That's part of the game. But those teams move on because they know they were good enough, and maybe they weren't good enough in that moment, but this Orange team has to rise to the challenge. They have to go in there, put one foot forward in front of the next, and keep walking and walk over Ohio State is what they're hoping to do in Game 5.
Yeah, I always say it's the battle of Kyle McCord here. Syracuse and Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, really good point.
Nothing better than that.
Sports journalism major guy doesn't remember that off the top of his head. Looking great in the, what is it? Not the Reese's Senior Bowl, the other one.
East and West.
East and West Bowl. Looking great. One of the top performers there, along with Jackson Meeks and Aronde Gadsden. We're looking at the Senior Bowl for LeQuint Allen Jr., who has risen on a lot of boards, and I'm very excited to see that. Same with Aronde Gadsden. But we'll be looking at our Aronde Gadsden here on the other end. These players make impacts like that on these games, and I think that's the best way to put it if you're not a non-esports fan who is just tuning in maybe for the first time and couldn't tune in at a better time. I'm going to be honest with you. You have Game 5 in what is ultimately going to be an important match to look upon for the rest of the season. But they're finally locked in. They're sitting down. Not seeing as many smiles as you did at the end of Game 1 and 2 or even Game 3. But let me tell you, this team is definitely raring to go. But don't go anywhere, folks. PEC Week 2 against Ohio State will be back momentarily. Apologies, folks. Welcome back to PEC Week 2 action. Game 5 ahead of us. But what just happened was unfortunately some technical issues on our side of things. So big apologies for that. Hopefully that's given some time to for you to send this stream to more people. This is a pretty big Game 5 we have going on here. Really just going to be a interesting situation now because we saw what happened last week after a tech pause.
Yeah, after tech pause in map 1, Syracuse ended up winning because of the spread, but also because of a lag out on the opponent. But overall, they came out like absolute flat. I've never seen them play a worse round of Overwatch, to be frank. And that can't happen here. That they can't get reverse swept in such a crucial must-win game that we've talked about before. But overall, just the vibes were getting high, and then, you know, we have that tech pause, which is one of the unfortunate realities of esports. But certainly getting back on the same page right now. Thumbs are getting up to each other, and they're ready to rock and roll. And again, like we mentioned earlier, it's all going to come down to this first engagement.
Yeah, it's a very controller thing of you to say with the thumbs.
Oh,
yeah. No, I use my thumb for the space bar and nothing else. But I was also a claw player, so that was a weird thing.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, my hands were too big for the controller, the PS5 controller. So as a kid, I started using claw before anything else. So weird fun fact about me. But fun fact about this game, in case you haven't heard it the last 45 times, it's Game 5, and that means that it is win or go home.
Yep.
Rather, no other games after this, which is the best of 5 format as per usual with this game mode. But yeah, I mean, it's not much more that we can say that hasn't been said other than this sucks to go on a tech pause beforehand if you're the Orange. Gotta take a deep breath. Don't come out flat here. You may have needed the break either way. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be just a good breath of fresh air. Just go in there, play your game. And this game is entirely different than we've seen it before.
Yeah.
This is a new comp.
If you are just joining us, it is a potential reverse sweep for the Ohio State right here. Map 1 going dominantly to Syracuse. Map 2 as well. And then map 3 started to fall apart a little bit. Still close, but ending up the way of the Ohio State. And then going the distance in Flashpoint. But eventually the Buckeyes coming out on top of that one. Again, we've said it before. We'll say it again. Comes down to this. And I can't wait to get started.
Yeah, calm before the storm here. I'm assuming that if you have
with it today.
Yeah, and the interesting part for me there is how well Hazard worked. Even in a one-on-one scenario against the other Hazards, it worked really well. I think Saint just had a bit of a PC moment there as Diva in the other end doesn't have much of a heal. Aram goes down, unfortunately. That's a bit of a backup here. Azer's going to have to let them take space along with the rest of the team. Lunar going to hold that corner there with that right side there. Going to swerve that corner now. Going the other King Donut going right into that other spot, but that Hazard is just playing a bit conservatively because Diva is not doing enough damage, I think, here.
I don't know if I can recover after swerve that corner, but one thing I'm very, very interested to see is this Widowmaker play. Speed Glasses able to take some of that high ground with the help of Diva and co, but Speed Glasses, an unbelievable shot. We saw it alone in this map already. Room going to try to counter that, and we're going to see some sniper gameplay all over the place.
Yeah, Diva takes up a lot of space, and you have to deal with her to deal with the rest of the team. Speed Glasses, ooh, just a Widow diff. One more headshot on the tally there for our Widowmaker. Anti there on against Hazard. Doesn't go down, unfortunately. Speed Glasses gets one more. It all feels like one big stall game to let Speed Glasses headshot more squishies.
Yeah, the slower this goes, the better it is for the Orange. Again, playing very cool, calm, and collected so far early in this payload round. But certainly we've seen it before out of Ohio State, that explosive factor. Now, you do have some ultimates lining up if you are the Orange, going to have nearly all 4. But Lau going to pop theirs on the other side of things, and we've seen how damaging that Juno ult has been.
Here we are with the game-provided wall hack here for the other side. Juno gets one by Azer. No, that's not Juno. That's Echo playing Juno, and you're seeing how powerful it is on the other end. They're going to have another support ult for the Orange side. Lunar gets one more. Saint gets one more. What a good start from the Orange, and just getting caved in there by the Orange are the Buckeyes. That is what a start there for the Orange. Already down to a minute. They've barely moved this payload.
Yeah, Azer, such a smart player, utilizing that ult to the best of their ability, disguising as Juno right there, playing like for like. But now Ultimate's advantage is going to go the way of Ohio State. You got King Donut, who's been so explosive as that tank. Ult usage has been fantastic. Monkey has played Genji this entire series, cutting people down. But now with that Tracer, let's see what they can do here.
Yeah, we'll see if that Tracer can put a charge into what has been a stagnant Overwatch offense, or Ohio State offense on this second round here. But here comes the ult from the Hazard there, and you can see right immediately how bad that's going for the Orange. But they are able to survive it. What a good start. As here, putting a charge into it. There's the D.Va ult. Aram gets down. Speed Glasses unfortunately goes down. No picks of squishies for the Orange. But they're able to maintain by just getting rid of the tank, and the Orange can push back suddenly. But this is going to go right down the other side. Both supports die right on point without the help of D.Va. The Orange now playing a bit of a weird situation. D.Va now out of the mech. Monkey gets that. And that is a very bad start for the Orange, unfortunately. A very bad end of that point for the Orange, but they still have it. As now it's a bit of a stagger, but Azer's back on point. Got the garbage ball, or oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, the hamster ball on point. That was completely unintentional.
Wow, I see what you did there.
No, that was an actual accident.
Very, very difficult right there for Syracuse. Nearly able to shut them down without getting one checkpoint alone, going into a brief overtime right there. But pretty much minimum time for Ohio State here as they continue. So at least you have that if you are Syracuse.
Yeah, 2 minutes to go, and this is a tough site, apparently, to have on load time. But you do have to touch this point, unfortunately, for a bit of a point, or a bit of a amount of time here. The Orange have to play this a bit better, have to take more space, and have to get rid of those squishies. And Speed Glasses going up top, they're getting targeted by the other team, and you're seeing how dangerous that is. Up goes Widow, out shoots Speed Glasses, goes down, unfortunately. It's 5-on-4 for the Orange, or 4-on-5 for the Orange. They have the odd man disadvantage here, as now here comes the ult from Juno. Very bad section for the Orange.
Yeah, this fighter jet location has historically been a weak location for Syracuse. Speed Glasses able to get one per usual. Azer able to follow up right there, but Monkey able to trade his mirror counterpart. And Ohio State getting ever closer to that second checkpoint. Looks like they might have it right here, unless M3 and co have something to say about it. They're going to be going back to their spawn, so that's all they can say to King Donut's ult.
Oh no, 0.56 meters. Banana is just going to be able to push it forward. Dejin. Looks like we have a substitute on the side of Kansas. Dejin coming in at that support position. Interesting to note there, but disaster for the Orange there. That's 30 seconds you have on the first point, and now you're moving towards the third, and Ohio State has maximized their time, essentially not getting stopped in that second spot at all. This is where we saw the death of the Orange against the Jayhawks. It cannot happen here again.
Yeah, that's how important this Ohio State team and how well they've been playing is. They have a substitute in Game 5 trying to reverse sweep, and we didn't even notice until now. Playing such good team Overwatch right here. Lunar able to get an initial right there. King Donut following that up on Azer. But Dejin and co really taking over here.
Yeah, I can maybe see the D.Va ult here. These three squishies manages to not hit that Q button, which is pretty amazing. And just in terms of, you know, see that many squishies out in an open space. Q feels like a good thing to press, but they're just getting kind of steamrolled at this point by the Buckeyes, who are taking all the space they wish. See if they put a charge into it. Widow goes down, has to force to go off as the rocket's not enough. Seeing just how good those supports are on the Columbus side.
Yeah, Azer has been so crucial in this game. Can he pull anything out of his sleeve right now? No, he will fall, and that might be the fate of Syracuse here, at least in this one early. Lunar pops it and able to find Monkey, but nothing else there. I lied. He finds a second. D.Va going crazy.
Have to touch here. Cannot let them get a C9 situation here, but Lunar gets two, and that's a good step in the right direction for the Orange. King Donut not able to go down. That D.Va counter has worked really well and worked wonders for Columbus, to be honest with you. The Buckeyes are playing much better in our comp is kind of the best way to describe it. They are able to push forward. This is a much better offensive comp than a defensive comp, it seems, kind of at this point. They're playing it both very well, but the ult advantage is now slowly leaning towards that Columbus side.
This is where Speed Glass is going to have to take over, quite frankly. You have D.Va pushing up, and Lunar, King Donut going to have that D.Va matchup right there. But
goes Aram.
Speed Glass is really, really big like there. right there. As I was saying, you have this distance. You don't have a lot of space to work with. How far can you keep Ohio State off of the payload?
Lunar runs over to Jin, has to keep it there as here comes the charge into the mech. Going the other side, no, disaster! She didn't get behind the wall. D.Va's mech goes down, and she's in the other end with no protection from her team. The mech goes down to the ult when D.Va was right by the wall. It's overtime. Pulse Bomb doesn't get there. Trying their best to keep D.Va off the point. Mech has to go down here, but the healers are there for the Buckeye side. Orange in overtime. Not able to touch right now. D.Va trying to get back into this fight for the Orange side.
No. You got to get here if you're Syracuse. They're unable to. An absolute disaster as Azer ripping his headset off on stage. So frustrated that that mech is going to fall. Inexcusable, just awful luck right there for Syracuse in potentially a series-deciding disaster.
Pixels.
Yep.
3 pixels to the right. That mech's fine. It's... That is hard. That is a hard one to experience as a player, for sure. That is one that definitely hurt. I can't really put that into words. You are sitting there, and that might be caved mental, unfortunately. But this Orange team has rallied back for more, and they might be down 3-0 at this point, but it's not over till it's over, and they need to remember that on stage. That was a rough one. Have to put it forward. Have to take your steps forward. You need to do exactly what they just did to you.
In one of the storylines of today, there's a lot of reasons why you might want to be like Connor McDavid, but you don't want to be like him after Game 7, and that could be a moment that seals it right there in this Game 5. But Syracuse has to come out on this attack. They have to prove that they are a better payload escorter, if you will. And unfortunately, earlier in this series, they weren't able to do that. How can they do it right here?
There's a lot of answers to that.
Yeah.
And I think the starting one, if you were to give the most basic answer you could, is eliminations. Mm-hmm. The squishies were not picked off well enough by that Widow, unfortunately, last time. Speed Glasses came in clutch during a few moments, but you didn't see that come in a lot of the time, even for both Widows. They were both kind of eliminating each other from the equation, but massive damage from Aram, and that's Speed Glasses listening to exactly what I said. 2 go down instantaneously. 2 squishies for Speed Glasses, who, not sure if they heard what I said with all the white noise on stage, but they sure took it into consideration. That's 2, and immediately a 5-3 advantage for the Orange.
Immediately, first bloods in both rounds have been Widow on Widow, and you're seeing it right there. Able to open the map up right there, let Hazard work up in Lunar, try to take over right here as we got a tank and tank battle. Still the D.Va on the side of Ohio State.
Yeah, Aram gets rid of Speed Glasses once they get back to the point, and I really like this Hazard pick more than I liked the D.Va pick. It's a really good offensive space taker, being able to move the other team rather than just stop the other team. It's a bit of an interesting situation where you're displacing them, and I think positioning has been one of Ohio State's advantages all game tonight, and being able to displace them, put them off their game, put them in places they don't want to be is very important for the Orange, and we'll have to see how that goes. See, you can't get up there with D.Va as well as you can with Hazard. You can drop back down. You can move with Hazard, and I think that's going to provide the Orange a lot of opportunities here.
Exactly, and taking that high ground, as you say that, trying to keep this D.Va off and out of the picture. Speed Glasses and a room, they're playing ping pong back and forth with these snipers.
Yeah, and it's providing good damage. You see the supports are not feeling comfortable in the open spaces, and what you aren't seeing from these 2 snipers is they're so good. The supports are not playing up with their team. You can't extend too far because you're going to get shot, and if your support tries to come help you, they're going to get shot, and then you won't have a support. But just great shot there from Max, who is now on Brigitte, which I don't think we've seen yet earlier.
We're about to see a full hand of Syracuse University Orangeman ults right here. You got a few on the side of Ohio State. Jin gonna use one right there. King Donut trying to get theirs up. But Syracuse has full force right here. Where do they want to use it is the only question I need to ask.
Now you have those advantages here with Widow being gone. You have some more pick lines there. Azer gets rid of the healing totem there. But here comes the ult from Hazard on point. I almost called him Mayhem. But the other side, a bomb comes off for D.Va. Speed Glasses goes down the other side. Mayhem being caused by Havoc here. On the other side, really trying the best there, but just is able to get rid of them. That is amazing space taking from Hazard.
Yeah, you got a little more time if you're Syracuse here than Ohio State did, having about 2.5 at this point. But Monkey has utilized this rewind really, really well, able to build up as much ult as possible, get out of those tough situations. Unable to do so there. Speedglass is, again, with that first pick right there, allowing his team to push forward on the map.
Yeah, and you're seeing these picks going a long way, and these players are exhausted. We're exhausted in the booth. They have to be exhausted there on stage. You need the endurance to go this long. Win these game 5s. Lunar and Speedglasses both get a squishy DPS on their end. A very good start. The right picks that the Orange need. Max gets one more as they push into the support backline. Lau goes down, and Anna goes down on the side of the Buckeyes, and the Orange are rolling forward faster than the Buckeyes have.
Yeah, Diva mech gonna explode, Diva gonna fall, and you gotta keep moving if you're Syracuse. Gotta get the second checkpoint here. Gonna have about 4.5 on the clock. Open up these doors. Here come the Orange.
Azer with a pick immediately on the Zenyatta, which you haven't seen at all yet. Both supports down on the side of the Buckeyes. What a start from the Orange. They're not dead yet. Going forward now, you're going to see Speedglasses go for a big pick here, waiting for the right opportunity. We've got ults on both sides there, but still, the reason that you're not seeing them peek, by the way, is the Widow ult on the other side.
Exactly. King Donut switching on to Hazard, so we're going to have a like-for-like matchup right here as the tanks will engage in front of this payload with very little space left on the map. The Hazards are going to have to take over. Let's see what the Widows want to do to each other as well.
With their back against the wall, this is everything in the final objective of the map here. Aram gets Saint on that other end. Support goes down on the side. Still even on supports for both of these teams. Havoc not in a great spot here. Goes just Havoc causing all everywhere there on the other end. Lunar able to stay alive just barely as Azer gets one more support. Aram goes down to Speedglasses though. Odd situation. Down goes Max. No supports for the side of the Orange towards the site, and they have to back up.
You have time on your side for Syracuse, but very, very disappointing out of Lunar. Popping that ult, getting people stuck in positions, and not finding a lot of kills off of that initially. Eventually, you're able to get some trades and get forward right there. Again, in the end, having to back up and reset with about 3 minutes here. But if you're able to get those people trapped with that Hazard ult, you really got to get after them as a team and eventually take over and end this game.
Here comes the Widow ult, and so much chaos that I've been causing Hazard mayhem. So just generally insane things going on here, and insane again from Hazard. Aram goes down. They're nano boosted. Gets 2 in the back end. Going for one more. Trying to take as much space they can. Bang! That's 3. Yahtzee as they go down. Moving towards the point. King Donut with no health remaining can do nothing but sit and spawn as we see them go down. Orange back against the wall. Come back. And we're in overtime in game 5.
What could be better than this? Are you not entertained? PEC Overwatch 2 action here. Back and forth between these teams. The Widows trading each other. The Hazards, the Divas. Carson's on his hands and knees, panting in here. We're getting out of breath.
You cannot make up storylines like this. These do not get written in any other way. These get written. I actually think is a better way to describe it. You write about these for a reason. This is a huge advantage for the Orange. It's 334-1. Ohio State had to go to overtime. The Orange did not. We saw what happened on Kings Row in the same situation. A bit more time for the Buckeyes, a bit less for the Orange. But they will start this game off on defense, and we will have to see just what the Orange can do as we see now a Hazard match, which we haven't seen at all on this payload yet. On this game payload.
Defense wins championships. That is ingrained in an argument with my father I will have over sports for my entire life, but this is going to be a great example of it right here. And is Syracuse going to be up to the task and able to take over and able to stop them on this map? Something they simply have not been able to do when on offense earlier this evening.
85 Bears or 25 Commanders. It's up to you at this point to choose which defense you're going to be this late into the game. Trying their best here, the Orange have rallied back with what is probably one of the worst situations to go into as a team. Very demoralizing. Lunar gets one. Azer gets one more. Just beautiful start for the Orange. 5-3 disadvantage for Columbus as Diva now the tank here. We saw it go poorly in the start of last match on that offensive side for the Buckeyes, but they're going to stick with the Diva, which I'm not sure is the pick here. We'll have to see as time winds down. Point moved 20 meters in 40 seconds.
Yeah, big aggressive push right there out of Azer, bolting behind enemy lines, picking off that Widow. A little bit of a change of pace that we've seen from the original 2 rounds in this map alone. Azer, again, causing chaos right there on King Donut, and now a room gonna fall. Again, numbers advantage to the orange.
Lunar is there, and there's no tank right now on the side, because D.Va hasn't gone down and hasn't gotten her mech back. As Monkey goes down right on the side of point, we're in overtime. It's a wrecking ball. The only one left on point as King Donut tries to just buy time for this Buckeye team. Columbus reeling now. Sleeping Hamster on point is gone. Overtime extending, trying to keep them off point, and they will not. Still some more time. They didn't even realize. Oh no! They didn't see the time did not expire. Azer gets Monkey though. They're still on the right game. Saint gets Laue. Just barely. They keep it alive, but the Syracuse Orange don't let it move another inch.
Yeah, big excitement right there. And Azer immediately barking out what's going to come next right here. They understand it's not over here. They still have more work to do. The entire stage on the same page. Getting water, talking. Look at how animated this is. This is firing me up. This is what I want to see Syracuse do to end this and shut down the reverse sweep.
This is heart and passion from this team right now. And you only got to go 30.87 meters. They've done it before. They did it last time. They've beaten Ohio State in the same situation earlier today for their last win on 2-0. But here we go. 45-second prep stage until chaos unfolds. What a week 2. This is just the start of the spring semester, Braden.
I don't think you can point to a PEC match this week with more eyes on it and just how different Syracuse Overwatch looks in the spring semester and how dominant Ohio State was. And now, even going on it now, as Speedglass is pulling out something completely crazy that we are going to have to see how it dictates this absolute final moment.
There's no way it doesn't switch, right?
Like, I want to see it.
I do.
I want to see it.
Whether I want to see it or not, regardless.
Minigun on wheels, roll. That's all I have to say.
That's what sometimes it felt like, I think, for both sides playing the other team here. But we are going to see the Bastion and the Reinhardt as we see a teleport above point. What an interesting play from the Orange here. Unconventional in its entirety as they're basically running just a strange counter offense. Nobody in this stage, and this team really is kind of meta or anywhere near meta, but together they're in a bit of a weird situation because they pretty much outlaw this team. We're seeing how much they just moved. 24.05 meters, 6.8 meters remaining for the Orange as they try their best to move for him. Aram got the Bastion up top, but there's so much space opened up down low. See the charge from Reinhardt. Now they're behind. Mayhem has to back up, or rather Hazard has to back up. Just trying everything they can to get more space here. But the Orange, a bit of a weird setup. Azer gets King Donut down, and you're seeing the survivability of the Syracuse Orange team. 4 meters remaining, throwing everything they have at it. But Columbus can do nothing. They stop the reverse sweep. The Orange win Game 5 in overtime. Fanatics.
This is where legends are made. I don't know whose call it was to pull out the robot, but they did it, and they did it together. Headsets flying on stage. They have beaten the Kings. To be the champs, you gotta beat the champs. And taking out the top team, one of the top teams in the PEC, is a great way to start your spring after a devastating defeat last week. The fellas are hyped as they should.
The camera is rattling, and you can see just how much it means to these guys. This is exactly what you need. A disastrous loss to Kansas last week. Step forward, right direction, left direction. You came out flat last week against the Tech Paws. That's not what they did this week. This team had everything they needed to beat the Buckeyes, and I think we knew that at Game 2. But you go down, you lose those 2 games. It's not easy to come back from that. It's a very hard Game 5 to play, and they played it in a masterclass.
We saw in maps 1 through 4 a little bit of hero ball. You know, somebody popping off one way or another, whether it was the Genjis and Azer and Monkey or the tanks really playing a great job. But overall, Map 5 was a very, very great team approach. We saw some pop-offs, Lunar getting in there, things like that, but overall, great team gameplay, great team pushes. Azer getting a pretty big pick on Widow to start out that Map 5. But overall, absolute cinema is all I have to say.
And it was a beautiful Game 5, and you can't really argue much of that, but coming to a close here, that was a very long night for us, and boy, am I glad it happened. We are 2 hours from when stream started, and that is not how I thought tonight was going to go. When
I'm ready
we were
to
up
do another
2-0.
3. That was hype.
That was amazing. I'm ready to go best of 7. I hope. I don't think they are. That was.
No.
That was a. There's a reason these are best of 5s, not best of 7s. They'll go on to be eventually like that when you get towards higher levels and bigger stages. But just beautiful stuff, and I don't have anything more to say.
No, neither do I. What an absolute pleasure it has been bringing you that Overwatch match.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have to call it here. We'll see you tomorrow night. It was Syracuse Valorant, who won last week 3-1 or 2-1 over Kansas. They'll go and play Ohio State this week, 2-0 over Kansas. Just 2 close games, 13-10. Thank you to the mysterious voices. But very, very good section from Valorant last week. We'll see how they played this week against a stronger team in Ohio State, who's 3-3, and we'll look to extend what, or a 4-3 now. We'll look to extend what is a 3-game win streak. Very similar situation today. Teams have been developing forward in the Syracuse program, but that's going to be all we have from the week 2 of the PEC against Ohio State for Overwatch. Thank you very much for watching, and that's all I have, folks.
Go Orange.